This legendary chef's secret sauce turned simple BBQ into divine power. One bite transformed shy recruits into monster-crushing warriors with soaring morale. Savage beasts invaded Earth, but his mountain camp remained safe. Weak chef Yan Run never expected to face these bloodthirsty nightmares. Discharge was near, but his dream shop met a monster catastrophe. Boiling oil struck the beast, shattering its legendary stone-hard hide. Using butcher mastery, he carved the monster with god-tier precision. Success. The system awakened his hidden level 1 chef class. He can now see every monster's fatal weakness and strike. One precise slice finished it. But is monster meat edible? Outside was chaos. Yan Run was the only one awakened. The captain was shocked. Awakening requires delivering the final blow. With morale low, Yan Run knew hunger was their greatest enemy. He rushed to the kitchen to cook a soul-reviving feast. His movements became ethereal while preparing the ultimate pork belly. One bite erased their fear, igniting a fire of unyielding courage. His food manipulates emotions. Now, the grand counterattack finally begins. Inspired soldiers awakened legendary lightning and celestial astronomical powers. But giant Wang Yin was paralyzed by trauma, refusing to fight. Yan Run crafted a special remedy, the fried rice of courage. Wang Yin devoured it, feeling an explosive surge of bravery within. He charged like a demon, crushing the beast with primal fury. Success! Wang Yin awakened the legendary Iron Fortress defense skill. A future top-tier tanker was born. Now, the food crisis looms. Emergency rations were spoiling. They had to eat everything now. To survive, they must feast before their supplies rot away. I crave a real feast. These bland rations are simply tasteless. Can my skills transform these dry rations into divine energy? A monster appeared. The soldiers instantly prepared for the hunt. Lure it in. Don't miss this golden chance to awaken. They used high-voltage currents to bind the scaly lizard beast. Disaster. The monster died before the recruit could finish it. Failure again. Yan Run realized awakening others was getting harder. Keeping monsters alive for the final blow was a nightmare. Their berserk rage made them too dangerous to approach closely. Safety was priority. Yan Run began crafting a growth strategy. We must pace ourselves. The battlefield requires absolute tactical precision. Back at the grounds, the atmosphere was thick with tension. They prowled the forest, hunting for clues in their evolution. Finally, they cornered the beast. The army's trap was set. Victory was close. Min-jae called the next awakening candidate. Who is ready to transcend? Yan Run looked at them. He chose Shu Hook from transport for his moment of glory. Aim for the vitals, Yan Run commanded. Shu Hook nodded. With a sharpened spear, the soldier stepped toward his destiny. Blood sprays as the threshold shatters. My heart races. A system gate has finally appeared before me. I'm a sharpshooter. The crowd erupts as Min-jae confirms our 5th successful awakening today. Yi-Run is stunned. A sniper class? Holographic screens flicker to life, flooding his vision with data. Sergeant Shin freezes. What is this? A notification blares. The faction system is now initializing. A 5-man group, the absolute minimum. They stare at the screens. What does faction even mean? The system explains. Factions are territories. We are the 3rd group established in this sector. Moving further reveals smaller territories. Corner 17? The cryptic messages are becoming harder to decipher. Sergeant Shin scans the data, shocked. Immediately after Hayuk's awakening, the entire team sees the screen. 5 windows flicker open. Yi-Run focuses. They just cleared the trial. A new achievement notification rings out. Strength in unity. Since they formed a faction so quickly, a special hidden reward is granted. They've secured the rank 3 reward, a 10 times growth elixir. Shin immediately calls an emergency meeting. Everyone huddles inside. Min-jae starts the briefing. 10 people? This is becoming a deadly game. Hayuk speaks up. A faction. I bet the condition was having 5 awakened members together. Yi-Run calculates their odds. If the system is right, this growth elixir is our ticket to power. Wang Yin is skeptical. Rank 3? That implies there are rank 1 and 2 groups out there. Min-jae's eyes darken. Exactly. There might be monsters or players far stronger than us nearby. The meeting drags into the night. Exhausted soldiers collapse. What about our families? Are they safe? Yi-Run watches his trembling comrades. Anxiety is spreading like a virus through the ranks. Memories of past battles surface. Are their loved ones being devoured by monsters right now? He approaches Min-jae. Don't spiral. I'm worried too. But survival is our only priority now. Min-jae tries to stay calm. You're right, but... He trails off, the weight of leadership crushing him. Sergeant Shin interrupts. Look, we're currently leading this game. We have to prioritize our own safety. Focus on the now, Shin insists. Min-jae nods. Only by surviving can they rescue anyone. Yi-run is right. If we die here, our families have zero chance of being saved. Wang-in crosses his arms. We have 100 survivors, yet only 5 of us are faction members? Min-jae agrees. Only awakened count. We need more power, but awakening isn't that simple. Yi-run sighs. The world has changed. In this era, if you aren't awakened, you're basically nothing. Suddenly, Min-jae snaps his fingers. Wait. Hayuk, you said your class is sharpshooter, right? It matches your reputation perfectly. Hayuk chuckles modestly, though the pride is evident in his eyes. So, what are your stats? Min-jae asks. Hayuk checks his glowing blue interface. My accuracy and destructive power increase with every shot. Min-jae winces, sensing a major flaw. What if we run out of ammo? Hayuk smirks, a confident glint appearing in his gaze. If an ordinary soldier needs 10 shots, I'll only need 2. Ammo won't be an issue. Yi-run feels a wave of relief. With that efficiency, wiping out monster hordes will be a breeze. Min-jae slaps his shoulder. Perfect. You're our new vanguard. You'll suppress the front lines. Hayuk salutes, determination burning bright. Understood. I won't let a single monster pass. Everyone has a secret agenda. Min-jae prays for a moment of peace to rest. Wang-in regrets having only 5 members. Meanwhile, Yi-run is already planning the next evolution. No more time for despair. To survive, they must push forward and force the others to awaken. Most soldiers are ready to risk it. But then, Wang-in slumps down, his face pale. I can't do it, he screams. I'm going to die. I know I'm going to die. Fear is contagious. Sergeant Shin tries to intervene. Hey, calm down. Eat something first. The soldier looks up, confused. Min-jae watches silently before pulling Yi-run aside. Yi-run, I need the truth. Min-jae's voice is cold. You're hiding something, a hidden ability. Every time you talk to a soldier, they change. What are you doing to them? Returning with a sharper gaze and newfound power, Yan-run stood transformed. He realized the time for hiding had passed. It was finally his turn to act. Claiming it was for the sake of unit morale, he offered a shaky excuse. But when pressed for the truth, he knew he couldn't keep his secrets locked away any longer. He decided to lay his cards on the table and confessed everything to Min-jae. Luckily, Min-jae didn't hesitate to trust him, focusing entirely on awakening the dormant army. While the sergeant rallied the troops, Yan-run retreated to his own unique battlefield, the kitchen. Suddenly, the scene shifts as a glowing interface flickers to life before him. The system announced, Apprentice Chef Yan-run has awakened. His stats were modest, rank 9 strength, agility 8, and mana at a mere level 8. Yet, his potential was hidden in his unique talents. Rank 9 luck, dagger mastery, and the peculiar path of a legendary apprentice cook. His arsenal included God's Eye and a special sauce technique. With his cooking mastery at 82 points, he even possessed a massive divine kitchen set. Yan-run stared at the notification in sheer disbelief. 82 points? He never imagined his culinary skills would be ranked so high by the system. He wondered if his power only grew through monster hunting or perfecting recipes. Regardless, these points were his new currency for survival. Just like a high-stakes RPG, these points could be traded in the shop. He navigated the interface, curious to see what treasures were hidden within. Opening the point shop, a wave of information flooded his vision. He realized his journey was only at the beginning, and there was so much more to learn. Why hadn't he explored this sooner? He cursed his late realization while scrolling through the list of available items, his eyes widening with every click. A battle axe and steel daggers were priced at 30 points each, while basic black bread was a steal at only 10. Most items were strictly for combat. Since he lacked fighting gear, the bread was his only option until he scrolled further. His heart skipped a beat as the high-tier items appeared. Strength and agility potions were listed for 1,000 points each. Even magic-boosting elixirs were priced at a staggering 1,000 points. The most tempting item was a random skill book for 3,000 points. They were incredible, but the price tag was far beyond his current reach. He decided to save his points for later, realizing that mastering his current traits was more vital. He needed to focus on his special sauce and God's Eye. His dagger mastery was particularly intriguing. It wasn't just a tool for cooking. It was a lethal combat skill that felt terrifyingly natural in his hands. After a brief sparring session with Wang Yin, he was shocked by the results. He had no formal training, yet his movements were fluid and precise. If this was just the apprentice level of skill, he couldn't imagine the raw power of a true master. The growth potential was absolutely limitless. Suddenly, a new notification popped up. Apprentice enthusiasm. This skill awakened the moment he accidentally grabbed a red-hot pot without flinching. He could now withstand intense flames for 30 seconds. This thermal resistance would be a game-changer if he continued his grueling training. But the most crucial ability was his apprentice cooking. He was busy analyzing data with Min-jae when the sergeant suddenly walked into the kitchen. Min-jae took a bite and froze. The flavor was explosive, but more importantly, he felt a strange, divine surge of energy coursing through his veins. "Sergeant, is it true?" Yan Run asked. He could see the hidden buffs. A +3 strength boost was permanently infused into the meal he had prepared. It seemed no one else could see the floating status windows. Min-jae comforted him, noting that unawakened soldiers wouldn't have access to such information. Yan Run realized that while others enjoyed the delicious taste, they were blissfully unaware of the magical stat boosts hidden within every single bite. The system never announced the effects to anyone but him. Yan Run smiled, knowing that his hidden support would soon turn his unit into monsters. Min-jae explained the sensation. It was overwhelming. With his base strength at 9, a +3 boost was a massive 30% increase in power. Yan Run crossed his arms, deep in thought. If his cooking could empower one man this much, what would happen if he fed the entire battalion? His daydream was shattered when a soldier burst in, gasping for air. "Sergeant Shin, we need you at the ammunition depot immediately." Yan Run sensed the panic. A new type of monster had appeared, one that was completely different from the lizards they had fought before. This beast had breached the armory and was currently letting out blood-curdling roars that echoed through the entire base. The peace was over. By sunrise, Min-jae's squad was positioned on the rooftop. The atmosphere was thick with tension as they scanned the horizon for the intruder. The scout stammered, pointing toward a shadow in the distance. He handed the binoculars to Min-jae, his hands trembling with visible terror. This creature was an anomaly. Its physical form defied everything they knew about the monsters that had invaded their world so far. Yan Run took the binoculars, his instincts screaming that something was wrong. The scouting team looked like they had just seen a ghost. It was perched on the opposite peak, lurking in the mist. Yan Run's mind raced. What kind of horror could make seasoned soldiers tremble like children? At first, it looked like a typical lizard. But as Yan Run adjusted the focus to the right flank, his blood ran cold at the sight. "Wait, what on earth is that?" he whispered. Something truly foul was emerging from the shadows, and it was heading straight for them. What they saw defied all logic. Yan Run gripped the lens, sensing a chilling anomaly unlike anything before. The scouts were paralyzed with terror. Looking through the binoculars, Yan Run realized the crisis was spiraling out of control. Something was congregating on the opposite peak. Deep suspicion gnawed at him. What kind of horror could break his men? Was it just a lizard? To the naked eye, it seemed normal. But Yan Run knew better than to trust appearances. As he panned right, something grotesque entered his field of vision. "Wait, what on earth is that foul creature?" "There it is. I see it moving. The beast senses us. It roars at the tower." Ian panics. "It's coming for us. Emergency meeting." A 3-meter alpha leading a massive lizard horde. An alpha? Monsters usually hunt alone, but these are organized. Why now? These beasts must be scouts from a deadlier zone. 20 monsters following one freak. If they charge, we're finished. We have numbers, but Ian senses a terrifying, hidden trap. They appeared at dawn, just watching, waiting like silent ghosts. No attacks? They're just lurking, testing our base's resolve. Are they afraid? No. They have the numerical advantage to win. Ian realizes the truth. They're waiting for the perfect opening. A calculated siege. They're scouting our weaknesses for a total massacre. Monsters with human intelligence? Min-jae refuses to believe the threat. They walk like us. They're smarter than any predator we've faced. Should we strike first? The room falls into a panicked silence. No. Leaving the base is suicide. We must hold the line. Stay inside. We need a strategy before the commander reacts. If news spreads, the entire army will collapse from pure fear. We must keep them calm. Panic is a deadlier enemy tonight. In the kitchen, a brief moment of forced, fragile normalcy. The chef's special sauce brings temporary peace to the soldiers. Behind these walls, we're safe. Outside, only a graveyard awaits. Spicy kimchi and octopus, the taste of survival in this hell. Fear becomes habit. Ian feels his hidden power growing stronger. I'm terrified, but I trust my brothers. We'll survive together. Ian watches the men. Their spirits are high, for now. 20 soldiers have awakened. The tide of battle is turning. Status report? The monsters haven't moved an inch, sir. The horde has doubled. A sea of scales approaches us. 100 monsters? Ian trusts his elite awakened marksmen. 3 awakened snipers. They are our only god-tier hope now. If we keep evolving, we can conquer this twisted world. Supplies are low. In a week, our growth will peak. Soon, they won't even need my secret dream realm training. Ian signs the logs, then the lights flicker and die. A total blackout. The generator should have been stable tonight. The base is blind. The monster's perfect opportunity has arrived. Damn it. They were waiting for the lights to fail. Ian grabs his rifle. His secret training must pay off. Without light, the snipers are useless. It's a total slaughterhouse. Chaos erupts in the dark. Orders are screamed frantically. Snipers to the roof. Move before the beasts reach us. Awaken squad, engage. Defend the perimeter at all costs. They gather in the armory, hearts pounding in absolute terror. Seal the gate. Suddenly, a massive earthquake hits the base. What's the status? Deployment was nearly finished. Luck was on their side. They still had a few flares left. The snipers needed those flares to mark their targets. I'm not sure if this will work, Yanrun muttered. He sighed heavily. The monsters weren't infinite, but if they weren't suppressed now, the entire unit would be slaughtered. He checked the Awakeners' positions. They were currently shielding the sniper team from the encroaching shadows. Mages split between shields and strikes while soldiers held the line. Morale had surged after that legendary lunch break. His presence alone acted as a spiritual anchor. Where to next? They asked. Yanrun simply unsheathed a kitchen knife. I'll use this, he stated coldly. Close combat? With a blade meant for onions? Everyone thought he was insane. I'm the first Awakener here, he reminded them. Even so, the soldiers couldn't hide their overwhelming concern for him. Suddenly, the tripwire alarm screamed. The soldiers snapped into high alert as 3 brilliant flares illuminated the night. Lieutenant Kim peered through his binoculars. His eyes widened in pure shock. The sight was absolutely devastating. Open fire, he roared. A sea of monsters had already reached the gates, emerging from the darkness like a nightmare. Lead rained down as steel met claw. Amidst the chaotic carnage, Yanrun slipped into the shadows, waiting. My cooking buffs are working, he noted. Without the flares, they'd be dead. They had to stay sharp or die. Then, the earth trembled. The boss arrived. Its roar shattered the sky, freezing the hearts of every living soul. That's the Alpha. Snipers, focus all fire. Disaster struck as the lead sniper collapsed from sheer mental exhaustion. Chestnut Head took the shot. Suddenly, a new power surged within Yanrun. The chef's eyes had finally awakened. The skill identified the leader instantly. The Lizard King was a blur of motion, dodging every bullet with ease. How is it this strong? It didn't matter. Only a fool would stand on the front lines as a target. By leading from the front, the creature had made itself the ultimate prize. Suddenly, the Monster King halted its advance. It let out a piercing howl into the night. The sound was a physical blow, leaving the soldiers reeling in agony. Their ears rang as the system flashed a warning. You have encountered a formidable Alpha-rank adversary. Battle cry activated. The lizard's strength, speed, and health exploded. The horde was now a tide of unstoppable fury. The monsters gained bullet resistance while all humans suffered from extreme confusion. Precision dropped to 0. It was chaos. Bad news flooded the camp. The organization collapsed into madness. Everything was falling apart in an instant. While Yanrun calculated his next move, Disaster hit the medical tent. What's happening? My head is spinning. Are you okay? The lieutenant gasped. Every single sniper was now incapacitated by the monster's psychological assault. That roar had such a massive range. With their guard down, the lizards charged the base like a tidal wave. They unleashed a volley of bullets, but the monsters didn't even flinch. Chestnut Head cursed, his hands trembling. The confusion is too strong. Our defense is crumbling. The soldiers were losing their will to fight. A soldier dropped his rifle in despair. What are you doing? Get back in formation and keep firing, damn it. The situation was hanging by a thread. Using his cold logic, Yan Run devised a desperate backup plan. He ordered Min-jae to gather the Awakeners. Long-range combat was useless now. It was time for a bloodbath. Yan Run decided to meet the slime-covered horde head-on. The Awakeners assembled, their faces grim but determined. He began distributing strange sweets to the group. Only one each, he commanded. A sergeant looked confused. Is this a snack time? Yan Run smirked. I'm about to reveal the secret of my true power. My chef skill isn't just for taste. It transfers raw power. You've all eaten my food before awakening, right? That's why you survived. That's why you're strong. The Awakeners whispered in disbelief at his hidden god-tier support. Power through food? Yan Run turned to Min-jae. I prepared these specifically for this nightmare scenario. This special batch is for you all. Your stats will adjust to your maximum potential. There's nothing to fear. If we hold the line, we win. Stay focused, and don't let a single one of those bastards through. Understood, Captain. Seeing their spirits stabilize, Yi Run initiated the next crucial phase. Target the Alpha. After eating the specialized treat, Wang Yin felt his power awakening. I will crush it. High-quality ingredients push the food effectiveness to legendary levels. The team prepared for the counterattack. I cannot hold the line much longer. The beast shrieked loudly. All stats will peak for one full day of combat. A relentless wave of lizards crashed into the awakened hunters as Yun and Wang Yin watched the carnage unfold. Empowered by their recent growth, the warriors didn't flinch. They met the monsters head-on with newfound fury. Wang Yin blasted a massive lizard back, but the horde's rage only intensified. The situation turned critical. Thankfully, allies raised shields just in time. Stay close. Don't scatter. They fought to break the encirclement. Near the exit, a lizard blocked May's path, raising razor-sharp claws for a killing blow. Death seemed certain. Suddenly, Yun intervened. He took down the beast with a single strike from a common kitchen knife. Seeing the Alpha's strength, Yun realized he couldn't face them alone even with his legendary culinary skills. After devouring a pastry, the system chimed, "You have consumed the brave cookie of passion." Crafted by an apprentice's heart, this dish's effectiveness skyrockets when eaten by its intended target. His attributes surged instantly. The chef's special sauce granted him a medium-tier courage buff. With this courage, Yun could now dominate the battlefield. The tides of war were finally shifting. To Yun's eyes, the lizards were no longer threats. His brave warriors were now masters of the field. Enemy stats flickered into view, crushing the monster's morale. Yun's gaze fixed on the fleeing Alpha leader. The Alpha charged at Wang Yin, but he was ready. He had unlocked a new skill, Frenzied Combatant. The courage buff neutralized the chaos. Wang Yin roared, stepping forward to lead the charge. "Move out, brothers," his gravelly voice echoed. "A battle for survival awaits us all." Monsters swarmed from every direction, closing in on the entrance. The camp was a literal death trap. "Regroup at the entrance," Wang Yin shouted. He was determined to carve a path through the carnage. With burning intensity, Wang Yin dove into the fray, preparing to face the boss monster head-on. The boss lunged to tear him apart, but Wang Yin's sheer endurance withstood the devastating impact. Min-jae gasped in awe. "This is insane. Our stats have doubled. What did you do, Yun?" With this massive power-up, they would definitely overwhelm the horde. Victory was finally within their grasp. "We'll clear them out in seconds. You're officially the core member of our unit now." Yun stayed calm. "Don't drop your guard. We need to stall these lizards while Wang Yin dominates the Alpha. Focus on long-range support." Both hunters lunged forward to back their leader in the epic struggle. "I've got this. Just a bit longer." Triumph was visible on the horizon for the exhausted soldiers. Though drained, the soldiers refused to break. Their resilience burned brighter than the monster's hatred. Suddenly, Yun noticed something strange. Meanwhile, Wang Yin was locked in a brutal solo duel with the boss. Wang Yin's punches were now devastatingly powerful, tearing holes straight through the monster's thick hide. Yet the alpha remained furious, seemingly unfazed. In a flash, it used its tail to fling Wang Yin away. After wounding the hero, the beast roared, signaling its minions to swarm. But the soldiers stood firm. One brave soul charged the beast without fear. They tackled it, even biting the monster in desperation. Through sheer grit, they pinned the alpha down. Seizing the opening, Wang Yin approached with a murderous aura. Good job. He leapt into the air, winding up a punch meant to end this nightmare forever. The final blow connected with bone-shattering force. The alpha let out a piercing scream of agony. Wang Yin gave it no room to breathe, unleashing a relentless barrage of savage strikes upon its body. He even tore at its flesh with his bare teeth. Minutes later, the boss was officially dead. The war ended there. The base was littered with monster corpses, a complete and total victory. They had survived their first major clash. Yun walked among the ranks, checking on his weary brothers. Is everyone okay? Stay sharp. Officers, report your unit's status to the High Command immediately. Cheers erupted as the soldiers celebrated. Yun finally let out a sigh of relief. They had won. Even without firearms, they had conquered the impossible. Sector 17 was now firmly under their control. The system designated the 423 Battalion as temporary overseers until rank G was reached. A world event notification appeared. Combat status engaged. Human history was about to change forever. The battalion's first occupation was officially recognized. Mankind's counterattack had finally begun. Victory is ours. Every inch of this land is now our territory. Yi Jun smiles. Rank 1 is finally in his grasp. We claim the top spot. But as the war ends, the base is a frantic scene of blood and survival. The medical ward is overflowing with the wounded. Stay with me. More water, Sergeant Park. The chaos never ends. Priority cases only. Move. In the aftermath, the real heroes are the awakeners with divine healing gifts. These healers are pushing their limits, desperately mending the brutal gashes left by monstrous claws. Luckily, the healers and doctors have stabilized the situation. Wounds close instantly as the magic flows. Move to the next patient. Minja watches, stunned by the sheer scale of their recovery. We're actually stabilizing. Yi Jun nods. You did great, Senior. It wasn't me. Minja sighs. Wang Yin and Shu Huk did the heavy lifting. They're both collapsed from exhaustion. Yi Jun looks around. Wait, where's the battalion commander? No idea. He was there when the fight started. Without him, clearing the massive ammo depot will be a nightmare. Outside the base, the air is thick. Is it checked? Can we truly hold this entire mountain range? The whole range? Minja stares at the map. It says we've seized absolute control of the heights. We're stationed on the highest peak. Aside from us, only the scattered lizardmen remain in this vast territory. Does occupying the peak mean we own the land? If so, our strategic advantage is now God tier. We crush the lizardmen on this mountain. Does the system recognize us as the new masters? I think so. That's legendary news, but there's more. What else is hiding in these system windows? The lizardmen suffered a devastating blow yesterday. Their ranks are shattered, and their morale is dead. Then we should strike now. A total sweep could wipe them out. But Yi Jun lets out a heavy sigh. It's not that simple. Yesterday's battle was complex. We had the terrain, but an offensive is different. Defensive wars are one thing, but storming their nests, even a single mistake could lead to a total massacre. Minja counters. But we have your buffs, Yi Jun. Doesn't that make the impossible easy for us? Yi Jun shakes his head. Don't gamble everything on those buffs. The cost of creating them is too high. Each dish takes 7 hours of legendary focus. It's not just food, it's an arduous ritual of power. Minja is speechless. 7 hours? So these aren't just simple snacks? That's insane growth requirements. Exactly. I've planned this invasion for a long time. Starting over isn't an option if the ingredients fail. Without quality materials, our awakening count won't rise. But a standard buff should still be possible. Minja finally understands. I underestimated the complexity. Future plans must be airtight from here on. Wrap it up. Minja shouts to the crew. When you're done, head back, another truck is arriving. Another one? It feels like our supplies are infinite. We can't even burn through it all. Where do we put it? Yi-jun ignores the clutter and opens the system. By the way, have you thought about the rank 1 perks? The rank 1 rewards? Minja ponders. I saw the list, but the choices are all so overwhelming. Minja grins and claps Yi-jun's shoulder. You're our leader. You choose the path for us. Yi-jun is startled. Wait, this is huge. It doesn't matter, Minja says. We trust your intuition. No one will complain. If you pick it, it's the right choice. Yi-jun falls into a deep silence. The commander is missing, so the burden falls on him. Fine. I've made my decision. I'll take it. I choose the Mobile Fortress. Bana. Minjae blinks in confusion. A fortress? Why that specifically? The name says it all. Yi-jun explains. I want to know if we get a massive war rig or something greater. We might not need a giant vehicle now, but soon, this mountain will run out of food. Eventually, we'll have to migrate. This fortress is our ticket to surviving the world's end. That's a solid plan. Reason enough for me. Let's activate the second perk and see its power. Both men are buzzing with excitement. The choice is locked in. Yi-jun reaches for the screen. Perk selected Mobile Fortress Bana. The summoning authority of Bana is granted to Shin Yi-jun. Suddenly, a violent aura erupts from his body. The summoning power. I can feel it. I'm calling it now. Summon! Bana! A thunderous roar shakes the heavens as mana tears through the atmosphere. Warning, insufficient space. Minja panics. No space? Just how massive is this thing? The stench of death is everywhere. Move to the barracks. We must check for survivors now. Minji issued the final orders. Clear the area immediately. Yes, sir. We're on it. Twilight draped the camp in shadows. Yanrun sat alone, restless. Space was suffocatingly tight. I couldn't even check my stats. Infuriating. But at least my hidden EXP is soaring. Every meal they eat levels me up. This cooking system is a cheat. I'm growing stronger. My hidden army's awakening is accelerating. Suddenly, a knock. Lieutenant Kim appeared, grinning. There he is, Yanrun, he laughed. I snapped into a salute, masking my disdain. Resting, sir. Kim's face oozed fake warmth. I heard you survived the slaughter. Good job. You did well, kid. Just my duty, sir. I kept my tone cold and professional. He smirked mockingly. Most would have broken, especially a mere kitchen hand like you. Praise from a coward means nothing. He fled while we bled. Now he talks of glory. He abandoned his men to die. Yet here he is, smiling. Thanks to you and Minji, the awakened units are ready. He checked his list. Still no word from the capital. What about the missing drivers? The ones sent to HQ. The air grew heavy. He slumped onto the bed. They aren't coming back. 10 days. They're monster food now. He has no clue I'm evolving. If I had been sent, death would be certain. By the way, Kim smirked. Are we really eating rations today? His greed was obvious. Only combat rations, sir. That's the plan. Even the high-ranking must suffer today. He laughed dismissively. Surely we can get real food? The warriors are bleeding, yet he feasts. The soldiers can't even swallow, sir. I stood firm. The situation is dire. Resources are low, no exceptions. Everyone eats the same today. He ignored my warning. I'm the boss here, kid. Your cooking helps the awakening. He only cared for power. I weighed my options carefully. Should I give him the special meal? Awakening is lethal. It's a gamble for god-tier skills. Lieutenant, if you want to awaken, I began. He cut me off instantly. What do the elites eat? His eyes burned with gluttony. Food that grants forbidden power, sir. Wait, it boosts combat stats? He was hooked. What if I take it? Rage simmered in my veins. This pathetic man wants godhood? I must endure his presence. He is the last officer left. A useless but necessary pawn. If the military still exists outside, he's our only link to HQ. A bitter truth. I finally relented. I might have secret reserves. Suddenly, Kim shouted in a panic. Never mind. Rations are fine. He backed away. Just keep things as they are. Don't be such a hero, kid. His shift in attitude was bizarre. He bolted. He fled the room in a hurry. I couldn't understand his fear. Finally, I could breathe. Silence returned to the room. Outside, we held the peak. The mountain was our territory. I've never needed to smoke. Since we took this land, monster attacks have plummeted. They are just EXP fodder now. Tools for my growth. Is it really okay? Everything is stabilizing, I thought. You did the hard work, he said. A crippled soldier. The rookies told me everything. While you were out, you saved us. Thank you. We all sacrificed for this. But his leg was beyond saving. Is there no cure? The priests were too late. Too many days have passed. His voice was hollow. But I'm alive. That's enough. Hearing Sergeant Tay run, my heart sank. This was heavy. It was my fault. I pushed him to awaken too soon. The guilt was suffocating. Don't make that face, Yan run. It wasn't your fault. He saw my pain. Without that power, we'd be dead. Eaten by those monsters long ago. He smiled. This wound is my survival badge. You're the reason we're alive. Stay strong, kid. We're still here. Those words moved Yan Run to tears. Come, I have something to show you. Outside, Taeyun revealed his secret. I'm an astronomer. An astronomer? In this apocalypse? Is that like reading stars to glimpse the heavens and predict the fate of travelers? It's complex, but I read the constellations to foresee what's coming. A literal human radar. So you predict the future? Exactly. At that, Yan Run burst into a fit of laughter. It seemed useless for combat, but detecting danger early? That's a god-tier strategic advantage. Taejun nodded. That's why I need you. He had already uncovered 2 chilling truths. Guests arrive tomorrow. But listen, keep your true power hidden for now. Hide his claws? That advice was strange. Next morning, deep in the woods, someone was approaching their base. Is there really a military outpost? Let's go. There must be soldiers who can save us. Desperate survivors fleeing city monsters arrived, their voices buzzing with hope and fear. A scout reported 20 refugees in rags. At this pace, they'd reach the unit in an hour. It was day 10. While on lookout, they spotted figures desperately ascending the mountain path. Watching through binoculars, Yan Run felt the tension. Min Jae stood beside him, eyes narrowed. They're ignoring the no-entry signs entirely. Where did this crowd even come from? They have nowhere else to go, Yan Run added. These civilians had traveled far to survive. Let them in, Min Jae agreed. We must save them. Yan Run lowered his binoculars, brooding. Were these the guests Taeyun warned about? Soon, the refugees entered the military stadium. Under strict guard, the exhausted civilians looked around with hollow eyes and trembling hands. Stay calm. Form a line, a soldier barked, handing out registration papers to the weary group. Write your names here. Another offered water. Drink up. We have plenty for everyone. Minja counted 25 people. Move the students from the 3rd floor down to the 2nd. The newcomers will take the 3rd floor. Should we increase the night watch patrols tonight? Yan Run nodded firmly. Let's do it. Time to start clearing out the 2nd floor. Suddenly, the commander arrived, greeting a soldier. Yan Run and Min Jae watched, deeply annoyed. Is that guy really showing up now just to play boss? They muttered in shared frustration. The lieutenant stepped forward. I am Kim Hun Sok. You are safe now under my command. The crowd calmed instantly. An elder asked, Are you in charge? We were so worried. I was anxious seeing only regular soldiers. The commander flashed a practiced, reassuring smile. Don't worry, I'm here. Immediately, the crowd erupted with a barrage of desperate questions. What's the situation? Is there food? Our children are starving. The chaos was reaching a peak. Silence, the commander shouted. Fill the forms. We will provide everything you need soon. He turned to his men. Why are you standing around? Get to work. Yes, sir. Where are Min Jae and Yan Run? He demanded. Min Jae nudged Yan Run's shoulder. Time to step up. They ran over. Sergeant Min Jae, reporting for duty, sir. These 2 are experienced, the commander told the crowd. If I'm away, find them. Sergeant Lee. Is there room in the barracks? Yes, sir. Min Jae answered with authority. Good. You're in charge of them. I'll check later to ensure everything is handled perfectly. Min Jae broke a cold sweat. Yes, sir. The commander then turned his gaze to Yan Run. Prepare food for everyone. Adding 25 more portions shouldn't be an issue, right? Yan Run stuttered a yes, sir, while his mind raced through their dwindling food supplies. 99 soldiers plus 25 survivors? Increasing rations by a quarter was a logistical nightmare. The soldiers will handle everything, the commander announced. The refugees felt a wave of relief. A true officer, so efficient, they cheered. We're finally safe. The commander beamed with pride. He couldn't hide his smug grin. Min-jae turned to Yan Run, fuming at the credit stealing. Look at that smirk. Am I the only one who sees through his hollow mask? We're forced to follow his lead, even when he ignores our scouting reports. Rank rules all. They only listen because of that silver bar on his shoulder. Is rank everything here? The civilians shower him with praise, oblivious to the truth. He just soaks it in. A soldier protects the people, he boasts. But he's just playing hero for the crowd. Min-jae's blood boils. That greedy coward hasn't swung a sword once. He's all talk. Yi-run pulls him back. Calm down. I'll handle the kitchen. You manage the crowd. Min-jae nods. Go on then. Take someone to help. We need a miracle tonight. The third floor is finally ready. The refugees move in, their faces etched with relief. Children play in the halls, but an old man stares at the stairs in despair. The top floor? These old legs can't climb that high, he grumbles. A soldier sighs. The monsters strike the ground floor first. This is the safest sanctuary in the building. He still isn't satisfied. Meanwhile, others cheer at the prospect of a simple shower. No hot water? A soldier warns them. But the complaints start almost immediately. I can't believe this. I won't wash in freezing water, a woman shrieks indignantly. Someone snaps back. This is a war zone, not a five-star hotel. Get real. The chaos settles as they reach the cafeteria. The kids' eyes widen at the food. Is this real military food? It tastes like heaven. I can't believe how good this is. Yi-run watches from the shadows. He's proud, but the math in his head is grim. Consumption has spiked by 25%. Our food stores are bleeding dry right now. We're burning through rations. At this rate, we'll be forced outside within 1 month. The survivors cheer, unaware of the crisis. This meal is a masterpiece, they shout. Yi-run smiles weakly. I'm glad you're enjoying it. It's more than just good, they insist. You're a genius. What did you do before the world ended? Yi-run freezes. Before? How do I explain this? I almost told him I was a professional chef. I was just a college student. He lies smoothly. They nod. It makes sense now. He stands alone in the silence. Why ask about a job? Everything has changed now. Professions aren't normal anymore. They're exclusive traits locked within the secret status window. Only the awakened can see them. If they knew I was a chef, they'd laugh. Was this what Tai-jun warned me about? Meanwhile, Min-jae stalks the dark corridors. Whispers echo in the dark. The soldiers are huddling together, their voices full of venom. Fighting monsters was hard enough, but babysitting these people is breaking our spirit. How did we get stuck in this mess? I haven't slept in days, a soldier groans. I can't take it. Lieutenant Kim is a curse. He's making everything 10 times worse. The sergeants should be in charge. Their way was better than Kim's cowardly schemes. We've bled together. There's a bond here that the lieutenant will never understand. Min-jae listens from the shadows. Comradeship? The men are reaching their breaking point. Kim vanishes the moment, steel clashes, then reappears to take all the credit later. High rank, zero courage. A leader like that is a death sentence for us all. Min-jae's heart is heavy. He's right. A coward at the helm sinks the ship. He won't fight beside us. Who follows a commander who hides during the slaughter? If this continues, our unity will shatter. I have to make a move, and fast. The decision is made. Shadows gather on the rooftop under the pale moonlight. Report. Everyone is here except the wounded. The air is thick with rising tension. Is this a secret coup? Yes. It's necessary. Min-jae steps into the light. The hour is late, but this cannot wait. I won't stand by while we suffer in silence. Our situation is dire. I've confronted Lieutenant Kim. The crowd erupted. Is he actually serious right now? Min-jae remained calm. It's simple, he stated. I told him to step into our shoes for once. Why doesn't he consult those in the trenches? We're the ones bleeding for this hollow cause. He ignores our lives when making big calls. Naturally, my warnings fell on deaf ears. He barked that soldiers don't give the orders. The atmosphere grew heavy with a collective, burning rage. Bitter curses filled the air. That bastard never cared. He hasn't once fought by our side. Min-jae's voice cut through. Our survival is at stake. This is no joke or petty grievance. That's why we're here. My first motion. We must remove Lieutenant Kim immediately. The room exploded in shock. Are you insane? Can we really pull off a coup? Yi-jun began to tremble. We can't just depose a ranking officer. Min-jae's gaze narrowed dangerously. Do you disagree? Min asked. How long will you let him drag us toward our certain graves? Sweat beaded on Yi-jun. But he's the commander. Regardless of his increasingly strange demands, Min-jae countered sharply. If it happened once, maybe. But look at all our fallen comrades. We'd have more survivors if he actually led. What if he represents us at the final summit? The world will see him as our master. We'll be mere puppets to a coward's every whim. We'll lose our agency. Tell me, am I wrong? We need a leader with actual, proven strength. Strength commands respect, but he has none. We all know the bitter, pathetic truth. Voices rose in agreement. He's right. The thought of Kim leading us is terrifying. I shared a room with him. It was pure hell. Yet, some soldiers still hesitated, deeply conflicted. But he did his duty in the old world. Sentimentality clashed with our brutal new reality. Is civil war the end? The idea was dangerous. A spark that could ignite a total massacre. Min-jae smirked. Exactly. That's why we must move fast and execute this perfectly. With Kim gone, seniority falls to Sergeants Yi-jun and Sang-hun. Even regulars can lead when the officers fail. This is the era of the truly capable. Against external threats, your leadership will be our ultimate shield, Sergeant Yi-jun. We remove him quietly. No evidence, no trace. Yi-jun stared back, his mind reeling in chaos. A cook. As commander? Yi-jun gasped. Min-jae grinned broadly. And why not? He provides our strength. He controls the food. My second motion is the most vital. Sergeant Shin must lead. Any objections? Speak now or hold your peace forever. Stop this, Yi-jun hissed. They'll never follow a simple cook like me. But the soldiers cheered. Shin always feeds us. He's the true heart of this unit. Without his meals, we'd be monster bait. We trust him more than any officer. It's settled then, Min-jae declared. Yi-jun's anger flared alongside his utter confusion. Wait, listen to me. But the momentum was unstoppable. Behold our new leader, Yi-jun. Common sense was dead. Min-jae just laughed. Accept it. Then, the system spoke. Conditions have been met. 30 members confirmed. Leader recognized by all. Guild formation initiated. Success. Minium raid unit formed. A 3-0. Man Guild the first step to absolute world domination, beyond a mere party. A bond forged in the heat of survival. Total cohesion has been achieved. Ranked first in the region, the world was shifting. A legendary new force had finally been born. Achievement, comrades. Rewards, guide's blessing. Passive skill, commander's authority has been unlocked. Name, Yi-jun. Job, amateur cook. Level 9. Position, guildmaster. It was official. The cook was king. They gathered on the balcony for the announcement. The cheers were deafening. Lead us to victory. Show us the way, Supreme Commander Shin. There was no turning back. Yi-jun steeled his resolve. I'll do this, and I'll do it right. As your new commander, my first decree is simple. Lieutenant Kim will not be executed, despite your protests. The situation is bleak, and I know your pain. But for our future, you must accept this path. Yi-jun silenced the crowd with a heavy gaze. Listen, if we discard people for convenience, we lose everything. Our bodies might survive, but our souls will perish. To remain human, we never strike unless first provoked. He demanded a solemn vow from everyone. Min realized Yi-jun wasn't being soft. He was playing a deeper game. The weight of his words shifted the atmosphere. This wasn't just a boy. This was a true leader rising. We will follow you, Commander. But why spare that useless lieutenant? He does nothing but consume our resources. Yi-jun shook his head. Death is a waste. Though he caused only pain, even a snake has uses. We won't kill him. We will exploit him. Every piece on this board must serve a purpose for survival. Across the camp, Quan Trang's scout whispered. The soldiers have returned, sir. The predator was watching from shadows. Quan Trang leaned back with a cold smirk. Midnight strolls? How quaint for children playing at war. They are just 20-year-old brats. Their leader seems capable, but he is currently separated from them. The subordinate bowed low. I have checked them, sir. No new awakeners. They still rely on primitive firearms, exactly as Quan Trang hoped. If they lack the soul's power, they are merely sheep waiting for slaughter. This is our golden opportunity. With no awakened threats, it is time we move. Shall we deploy? Quan Trang's gaze sharpened instantly. No. We wait a few more days. Patience is key to a perfect kill. The next morning, the dining hall buzzed. But Yi Jun sat in silence, waiting for his scout's return. A guild token, the ultimate symbol of authority. It grants massive stat boosts based on the group's size. My very first piece of legendary equipment. I need an object that truly embodies our new era's spirit. This token binds us. Only members can wield its power, gaining strength from our collective hidden unity. The more prestige we earn, the stronger the blessing. It is a force multiplier that turns tides of battle. A buff for every member? Incredible power. Yet, I lack a worthy symbol to anchor this divine grace. The sergeants lamented their losses. Our numbers have dwindled, but the name of our brotherhood still rings proud. Yi Jun looked at his hands. Am I truly fit to lead? Min Jae laughed, dismissing his doubts. Rumors are spreading, Yi Jun. They say you are a god of war who slaughters monsters alone. They follow you because you are their hope. In this chaos, people crave a leader with overwhelming strength. Guangin is too unstable, either too soft or too violent. You are the only one who maintains balance. A sergeant approached with a crisp salute. Sir, you are here. Have the orders regarding secrecy been relayed? He nodded firmly. Yes, Commander. No one is to mention our classes or act suspicious around the outsiders. The status windows must remain a secret. Mentioning the awakening is strictly forbidden for our unit's safety. Yi Jun knew the risks of exposure. Keep your mouths shut. Knowledge is the most dangerous weapon now. We must stay hidden until we are invincible. Yet, secrecy does not mean we stop growing our ranks. We need more awakened marksmen to dominate. They are our primary line of defense against the coming abyss. Trained snipers who have awakened are indistinguishable from regular soldiers, but their lethality is on another level. But there is a complication. The survivors are restless. One woman is desperate to speak with us. She claims to have a vital secret. Yi Jun's interest piqued. Could this be a hidden quest triggering? She seems to lead the civilians. It is best if you handle this meeting personally, Commander. What if Lieutenant Kim finds out? He will use any excuse to sabotage your authority and reclaim control. Leave that old snake to me. Yi Jun's eyes glinted with a cold, calculated light that startled them. Don't worry. I have already set the trap. Summon 3 representatives from the survivors to the meeting hall. Tell them it is a secret session after dinner. If a word leaks, the consequences will be dire. Time is a luxury I don't have. Yi Jun began organizing his pieces, glancing toward the kitchen area. What lies beneath? A massive basement houses the generators and the boiler room for the entire facility. It is a cavernous space, currently used for storage. But Yi Jun saw much more tactical potential. He descended into the shadows. This hidden chamber would soon become the cradle of his secret army. Your personal prison. It fits you perfectly. Hun Sok froze in sheer shock. Trembling? It's just me, Lieutenant. Your reign of terror ends right here. I'll apologize. I sabotaged the radar and blamed the others. Please, I framed innocent guards. It was my mistake. Yan Run watched coldly. A heavy sigh. Prison is a lonely place with nothing to do. Confused? I've got plenty more sins for you to answer for. I forced that soldier to work. It's my fault. Just help me. You seem close to them, but their hatred for you is deep. I tried to convince them, but they all want your head. You're hopeless. In war, officers often die by their own men. Don't worry. I'll find another way to sway the soldiers' hearts. You must be starving. Here, try some of my special pasta. Incredible! I'm alive again! Hunsok's eyes sparkled with pure, desperate joy. Yan Run smirked. The bait was taken. The addiction had finally begun. Is this monster meat? Yan Run nodded calmly. We're running out of food. Eating monsters? Is that safe? Yan Run remained unfazed by the question. It's our only source left. So, I started experimenting with mana. Mana-infused flavors. A culinary breakthrough with god-tier potential hidden inside. Title acquired. The Pioneer. A legendary breakthrough in a forbidden field. Skill effectiveness increased by 100%. My growth is now unstoppable. Next target, Kim Hun. Soak. Rose lizard pasta, served with a smile. New recipe discovered. Using forbidden ingredients grants massive experience points instantly. The plate was licked clean. I've never tasted anything this magnificent. Everything was according to plan. The lieutenant was now a total addict. Suddenly, the feast stopped. Only tasteless, dry military rations remained today. Hun-sok exploded in rage. How dare you? Bring me real food. Yan-run smiled wickedly. Just as expected. Now, let the work begin. What is he thinking? Min-jae watched the daily gourmet service suspiciously. The lieutenant is a fan. Go hunt an awakened lizard now. Another one? Min-jae sighed. Yan-run's madness knew no bounds today. Screams echoed from the cell. This isn't food. I need the meat. Wrong attitude, Lieutenant. That's no way to ask for a favor. The crushing void of hunger. All happiness had vanished in an instant. I'm your superior. My orders are absolute. Bring me a meal. Yan-run turned his back. Maybe you'll be more humble by tomorrow. He finally broke. Hun-sok fell to his knees, begging for mercy. Please, I'll do anything. This hunger is consuming my very soul. Yan-run's eyes turned serious. Fine. Kill that monster for me first. A human lottery ticket. Let's see if you're worth the investment. Kill the lizard man, and you shall feast like a king again. Awakening sequence initiated. The legendary commander, Kim Hun-sok, has risen. Legion stats increased by 10%. This lottery ticket was a jackpot. What is this power? Hun-sok stared at his hands in total confusion. Fixed stats versus percentages. I've chosen the most efficient path to power. On the other hand, percentage increases turn weaklings into an unstoppable army. Targeting higher efficiency stats. Kim's unique talent could finally maximize our entire unit's hidden combat potential during this operation. This experiment reveals the truth. Buffing an entire army's stats is possible. Now, for the sweetest achievement of them all. Irresistible flavor unlocked. You've successfully brought a target under your absolute control through the power of God-tier cooking alone. As a chef, this is the ultimate peak. Mastering the art of manipulation through taste is your greatest achievement yet. Reward. Legendary ingredient, Heart of the Dragon. Your experience overflows, forcing an evolution from apprentice to a higher culinary rank. Promoted from level 10 apprentice to level 11 sous chef. It seems level 9 was the breakthrough point for evolution. My stat growth doubled. Basic talents have vanished, replaced by intermediate tiers that pulse with newfound, godlike power and authority. Even my basic skills now rival professionals. I wonder just how far this hidden growth will take me this time. The battle rations are complete. This skill is a masterpiece. I'm absolutely obsessed with the strategic utility it provides our squad. Combat rations. Dense calories, long shelf life, and compact size. Perfect for maintaining peak energy during the most grueling battles. Easy to carry and surprisingly delicious. This is the ultimate solution for food shortages when we're deep in enemy territory. Who knew that useless Lieutenant Kim would become such a valuable pawn? Now, the real game for survival truly begins. Everyone is assembled. It's time to start. But a sergeant immediately notices something is off with the current lineup. Is Kim missing? Yan-run calmly explains he's sick from a special meal. Min-jae will be stepping up instead. Everyone is confused. Your cooking made him sick? Yan-run expertly shifts the blame, keeping his true intentions deeply hidden. Just follow Min-jae. He's the most educated and charismatic officer here. Min-jae just sighs at the blatant manipulation. You're just dumping your responsibilities on me, aren't you? Yan-run's sinister smirk reveals he has everything calculated perfectly already. I warned you yesterday. Just follow the script. I'll lead. But don't expect me to carry all the heavy burdens. At the dorms, the crowd arrives early. Yan-run watches them warily. Are there enemies hiding among these desperate survivors? Tae-jun warned me to hide my true power. I'll play along, gathering information while keeping my god-tier skills a secret. We need to extract their secrets without revealing our own. The psychological warfare has begun, and the stakes are high. Sergeant Min-jae takes the floor to lead the meeting. Suddenly, Sang-ae interrupts, confused by Kim's mysterious absence. Min-jae explains that his expertise is better suited for this operation. He promises to lead them toward a smooth victory. Sang-ae reluctantly agrees, but Kwon Chang isn't satisfied. He refuses to take orders from someone he considers a common soldier. Bring the lieutenant here now. Quan Chang's arrogance flares. He looks down on anyone without a high-ranking military title. Min Jae stands firm. These two soldiers are elite members responsible for every daily operation. Any questions should go through them. Don't hold back. If you have concerns, speak up now. We are the ones keeping this unit running smoothly daily. Quan Chang scoffs. Why did it take 3 whole days just to organize this meeting? His patience is clearly wearing thin. Min Jae smiles thinly. Everyone needed rest after that harrowing escape. Exhaustion would have compromised our decision-making and safety. We wanted to give you time to choose representatives and gather your thoughts. Preparation is the key to our collective survival. Plus, military duties don't stop. Quan Chang snaps. Are your duties really more important than the lives of the civilians? Min Jae is speechless. Don't think that way. But Quan Chang fires back, refusing to let the argument go. Even Ian Run is getting annoyed. There's always someone who thinks they're royalty just because they once paid taxes. Quan Chang continues his toxic rant. As soldiers, your only purpose is to put our needs above your own lives. What could possibly be more important than us? Finally, Sang A's patience snaps. She's had enough of his arrogant entitlement. Shut it, Quan Chang. They're taking time to help us. I understand your frustration, but now is the time for silence. I apologize for his behavior. Min Jae waves it off, acknowledging that everyone is stressed and time is a luxury. We didn't mean to delay. Sang A giggles softly. I understand. Before this nightmare, I just ran a small clothing shop. Min Jae smiles weakly. I'm glad you're here to keep things calm. It's a relief to have a voice of reason. Before we start, we need to sync our information. Knowing each other's situations is vital for the plan to succeed. Tell us, what exactly happened to your unit? Sang A nods, ready to reveal the grim truth of their downfall. It started 2 weeks ago. Monsters appeared out of nowhere, and suddenly, all our communication lines were completely cut off. No internet, no TV, nothing. We were hunted by beasts. Those who were wounded, they didn't just die. They changed. They turned into zombies. It was pure, unadulterated chaos. Ian Run and Min Jae's eyes widen in absolute horror. Zombies? What is she talking about? Min Jae stares in disbelief. The nightmare is far worse than they ever imagined. Did I just hear lizardmen mentioned? We haven't spotted a single zombie yet, and neither has Yi Run. The atmosphere turns heavy instantly. Sensing the tension, Sang A speaks up. Is there an issue with me mentioning zombies? Forced to spin a web of lies, Min Jae forces a stiff, awkward smile. No, it's just, we don't use that name here. Sang A tilts her head in confusion. But they're definitely zombies. If not that, what do you call them? Back against the wall. Min Jae doubles down. The living dead. That's our term for those mindless monsters. Yi Run watches his comrade, utterly baffled. Suddenly, a subordinate chimes in. Ah, you must be a fan of K-dramas too. I've seen that series before. Maybe Living Dead does sound more professional? Min Jae just nods along, totally spineless. Actually, zombie fits much better. Let's stick with that for now. Sang Ah remains silent, her suspicion lingering. Yi Run breathes a secret sigh of relief. That was a close call for the team. So, what happened after you escaped? Sang A begins her harrowing tale. After narrowly escaping the horde, she found a small band of survivors. While searching for sanctuary, a rumor surfaced. Someone knew of a hidden military base. That was my doing, an elder reveals. Wang Yin's eyes narrow with suspicion. How did you find this place? The old man explains his past connections. A friend in construction once mentioned a secret facility buried in these mountains. It was our only hope for survival. They didn't have coordinates, only desperation. We had nowhere else to go, Sang A says. So we risked everything on a rumor. Min Jae is genuinely impressed by their grit. To cross that distance amidst the chaos. But Yi Run spots a glaring detail. Wait a second. You're all carrying nothing but scrap metal. No guns, no real blades. Nothing. How did you survive those monsters? Sang A looks him dead in the eye. You probably won't believe the truth. We didn't need weapons. We awakened powers. Yi Run freezes. Another awakener? In this remote place? Skepticism burns in Yi Run's mind. Awakening isn't that common. Out of 25 survivors, only I changed. I'm the reason we made it alive. Yi-Run ponders the claim. Can one person really protect so many? Sensing his doubt, Sang-Ah reaches out. Let me show you my proof. She produces a pair of heavy-duty scissors. They look ordinary, yet pulse with energy. Yi-Run's memories flash. She was a seamstress before the apocalypse? Is her past the key to her gift? With a swift motion, she strikes. The solid wooden table splits like paper. It happened at the shop, she recalls. Creatures that defied logic began their slaughter. The situation was pure nightmare fuel. The terror was paralyzing. But amidst the screams, her hands found her most trusted tools in the shop. In a desperate strike, she pierced a monster. Suddenly, a blue system window appeared. You have successfully awakened. Now, she hunts monsters with a single snip. Yi-Run's mind races. Was killing the trigger for her growth? If killing is the key, why just her? Did the others not fight for their lives? Something doesn't add up. Sang-Ah sighs, echoing his confusion. I don't know the criteria. I'm the only one who changed. Is there a hidden failure rate? Yi-Run remembers the warning. Beware of those who hide their teeth. Is she truly the sole survivor with power? Or is this whole group a carefully constructed lie? Minja breaks the silence with a question. Do you have any more intel on the awakening process? Sang-A offers a helpful smile. It seems almost random. You kill a zombie, and fate chooses you. I wanted to share this to help you. Minja's face flushes with admiration. This is incredible information. If you're ever in trouble, just call. Our unit will have your back, no matter what happens. Yi-Run rolls his eyes at his friend. Still, these survivors seem harmless. Betrayal here would be a death sentence. Minja remains overly eager to impress. Let me brief you on our status. We can offer you full protection. I'll ensure your people are well fed. Sang-Ah nods, her eyes brightening. That would be a miracle for us. Minja puts on his commander face. Wang-In, clear this mess and find a new table immediately. It's time for Yi-Run to get to work. I'm going to set some traps. We need to prep for those zombies. The city is a literal powder keg. We're walking into a storm blind. This is going to be a nightmare. Sergeant, the dishes are all done. Two girls approach with weary smiles. Yi-Run waves them off kindly. We want to pull our weight, they insist. Even in this hell, we won't just sit around idle. Yi-Run pulls out a hidden container. You've worked hard today. Here's a little something for your efforts. It's a treat they haven't seen in ages. Homemade ice cream? In the middle of an apocalypse? I've crafted a new dish based on my memories. It shouldn't be too bad. Give it a try. Join me and taste this. A special happiness-flavored ice cream topped with my secret sauce. Soon, the rumors of these rewards will spread. They finish the treat and look absolutely stunned. This is incredible! What is this flavor? I've never tasted anything like this before. The black-haired girl is shocked. She's actually smiling. She hasn't smiled since her parents passed away. I don't know why, but I feel strangely happy. Yi-Run smirks. The emotional shift has begun. The girl bursts into tears. I'm finally seeing you happy. Her friend laughs through the chaos. Don't cry. This is a good thing. Yi-Run watches silently. She has suppressed her grief for too long. Putting on a brave face is exhausting. This hidden ability's emotional influence lingers long after the effect fades. Like the courage dish before, it reshapes the mind. If this ice cream works, my trap is set. That night, Minja brings news. Someone is digging into our business. I found his room number. Room 5. They're a group from before the incident. Yi-Run narrows his eyes. Friendship doesn't guarantee loyalty. Minja nods. They could all be accomplices. There are too many variables for Yi-Run to ignore. What's the move? We can't just eliminate them all and act like nothing happened. If the survivors riot, it's over. But we can't just sit and wait for them to strike. Awakened survivors are a true threat. But if I feed them my special snacks, they'll spill everything. The meeting concluded that survivors would assist the unit. They agreed to clean the living quarters. Yi-Run sparks a plan. I'll lead them to the area, assign tasks, then observe their every move. Just like you did with the lieutenant? Yi-Run is confident. I know I can pull this off. Minja agrees but hesitates. Yi-Run, do you have another hidden ability besides power buffing? Yi-Run's heart stops. Did he figure it out? Minja promises not to force an answer. Relying on it too much might be dangerous. Yi-Run nods. I'll be more careful from now on. No one would eat his food if they knew it was a snare. He must maintain his cover as a chef. The canteen is spotless. I'm surprisingly good at cleaning. Yi Run brings out the bait. Chan Dung looks suspicious. Is this the legendary ice cream? The rumors have already reached his ears. Everyone is jealous of those who've tried it. The guys in the cafeteria won't stop bragging about the taste. I feel bad for the dorm students. They're all desperate to get assigned to kitchen duty now. Chan Dung takes a bite. Unbelievable. Now I understand the hype. You put your soul into this. Of course. This is a special 𝑪𝒐𝒌𝒊𝒏𝒈 version, made with the sincere heart of an amateur chef. The ice cream vanishes instantly. It's been so long since I've had sweets. Yi Run's trap is sprung. Now then, can I ask you a few questions? Chan Dung nods, completely unaware of the danger. Yi Run's interrogation begins. Why were you asking about our previous jobs earlier? Chan Dung's expression shifts. I needed to confirm if there was an awakened in the military. An armed awakened unit would change my strategy. I was relieved when you said there weren't any. Suddenly, Chan Dung panics. What am I saying? Why can't I stop talking? My mouth is moving on its own. Yi Run pushes further. What would you do if there was an awakened among us? First, I'd have to weigh the balance. If the unit is too strong, we'd have no choice but to fight. It is time. May I ask you something? Chan Dung nodded with innocent curiosity. Ask away. Yi Run's secret motive surfaced as he questioned the previous mission details. Why ask that? Chan Dung replied slowly. I must confirm if any awakeners exist. Armed military units awakening would be rare. I would need to change my strategy. I am relieved you said that. Wait, what am I saying? What is happening? My mouth is moving on its own. I have no choice but to speak. Yi Run pressed on. What if our squad had an awakener? The cleaner answered. I would have to balance the scales. Having too many awakeners forces our hand. I'll lie low and wait. Yi Run knew the terrifying power of an awakened being. Hiding your true self? You grew careless, thinking no heroes were here to stop you. You won't even taste the food? Chan Dung finally sensed the eerie, hidden truth. What did you do to me? Chan Dung froze as Yi Run's cold gaze pierced him. How many allies? How many awakened? Who was the leader of your little squad? 5 awakened in one room. All of them allies. Chan Dung confessed, trembling in fear. Quan Trang is the leader? 5 awakened? Run realized the scale of the danger. They planned a disaster. Quan Trang was already furious about Lieutenant Kim's sudden absence. Their goal: seize the first unit. They were plotting a total base takeover tonight. We watched for days. We confirmed there were no threats in this entire unit. No awakened could stop us. We decided to launch the coup this very night. It starts the moment I return. But now, we must strike, without any delay. I was confused, but then I realized. You're just a cook. Why should I fear? Chan Dung lunged like a beast. Yi Run didn't expect such sudden, raw aggression. You tricked us, Chan Dung roared. Once you're dead, the operation will be complete. You underestimate a chef, Yi Run countered. Power began to flow through his veins. A cook lives with fire. Your puny flames are nothing compared to my kitchen. Heavy pans and scorching heat. That is a chef's fate. You picked the wrong opponent. Barehanded? Impossible. Yi Run exhaled. The time for hiding his true growth was over. Skill activation. Low-tier cooking secret. Primate processing technique. Brace yourself for impact. Outside, the thugs grew impatient. Where is Chan Dung? Why hasn't he arrived yet? Quan Trang's patience broke. We're moving. We can't wait for that idiot any longer. Go without our strongest? The disciples were terrified to move without their level 6 ace. Quiet, Quan Trang barked. 4 awakened are enough to crush these pathetic soldiers. We scanned everyone, but a shadow of doubt remained. Did we miss a hidden monster? Chan Dung was level 6, an elite power. His skills were vital for our victory, but a leader must be absolute. Quan Trang's voice rumbled with dark, violent intent. Follow the plan. Drag everyone out. We're taking over this dormitory right now. Chaos flooded the halls. Soldiers were forced out. The atmosphere turned suffocating and tense. Li Sang-a blocked their path. What do you think you're doing at this hour? I have a condition, Quan Trang sneered. If I'm not the boss, I get sick. Li Sang-a's rage flared. He was always a thug, but this was pure madness. He wasn't satisfied with 5 people. He wanted the entire unit under his boot. His greed was bottomless. He wanted to rule every soul in this base alone. 𝒉𝒍𝒍 stood firm. Panic began to spread among the gathered, terrified survivors. Is this a war? Combat erupted. Even the armed soldiers were being pushed back. I hate this chaos, 𝒉𝒍𝒍 muttered. The situation was falling apart fast. A soldier rushed forward. What are you survivors doing? Stop this insanity immediately. Mind your own business. The thugs barked, shoving the soldiers aside with brute force. This is a crisis. We must report this and watch these bastards very closely. I have no choice left, 𝒉𝒍𝒍 sighed. I'll have to use force. The air grew heavy. 𝒍𝒍 drew her scissors. Everyone felt a chill of death. Quan Trang just grinned. He knew the scissors' power, yet he remained utterly unfazed. Why isn't he shaking? Does he think 4 awakened can actually defeat my weapon? The lackeys looked to their leader. The real massacre was only just beginning. Step aside. I'll break those blades. That woman is terrifyingly strong. Help him, they're far too confident. Realizing her hidden potential, 𝒍𝒍 demanded the truth. Were you masking the fact that you're all awakeners? So you finally noticed? This realization marks your tragic end. The crowd gasped. Could she truly be awakened? Deceived for so long, 𝒍𝒍 refused to back down. Go and crush her. A voice roared from the shadows. I must lead them to safety. But the hunters were too fast. The brutal clash erupted with sudden violence. Damn it! These monsters are on a whole different level than zombies. Can a newly awakened even survive this? Park Hwan-jang smirked with pure arrogance. Looks like clearing this obstacle will be easier than expected. He lunged. You're good at killing zombies, 𝒍𝒍. But child's play is over. It's time to get serious and end this. Their teamwork is pathetic. One opening is all I need. Suddenly, Park screamed, Get out of the way. I'll finish this. We've reached level 4. No mere seamstress stands a chance against our god-tier power. Suddenly, a gunshot shattered the air. What's happening? Sergeant Xinyan trembled as Sui-yuk pulled the trigger. What are you doing, Sui-yuk? He ignored the question, shouting a command. Everyone, stand still. Surrounded by elite soldiers, the awakeners halted. Will you stop now? And if we don't? Park challenged. Park laughed. Soldiers shooting civilians in public? Interesting. Sui-yuk stepped forward. This is an emergency. If you're a threat, I will fire. Push us to the edge, and we'll show you true terror. Sui-yuk narrowed his eyes. You think you can face a firing squad? Awakeners aren't bulletproof. Not yet. Park Hwan-jang taunted him, walking into the line of fire. Go on. Shoot. What are you waiting for? The enemy stood inches away. Soldiers hesitated, their hands shaking on their rifles. Stop right there. He didn't stop. Threatening kids barely out of their youth? You're all just a bunch of cowards. This guy is insane, a soldier hissed. Corporal Seo Sui-yuk, make a decision. We need to fire. Sui-yuk's finger tightened on the trigger. We warned you. The atmosphere turned heavy as the crowd trembled. Click. The gun jammed. Park laughed at the irony. Did you really intend to kill me, boy? Sui-yuk frantically checked his weapon. What? It was working just a moment ago. Park's aura flared. It's not broken. You'll understand the gap between us once you experience the true nature of my power. An awakened ability? What kind of skill could stop a bullet in its tracks? Sui-yuk's mind raced. I control the element of fire. Guns are just tools of explosion. Without heat, your weapons are useless toys. Anything that burns or explodes answers only to me. Sui-yuk realized they were facing a literal walking furnace. Surrounded by soldiers, they shouldn't have moved. That's our boss, the disciples cheered. Your weapons are trash. 𝒍𝒍's heart sank. If this continues, the entire unit will fall under their dark rule. Park issued a final, arrogant command. Kneel. Obey me, and I might show you some mercy. I'm taking over this unit. But the soldiers didn't flinch. Fire control? Is that all you've got? I expected something legendary. I wasted my fear on a fraud. Sui-yuk let out a cold, mocking laugh. 4 of you? Then 4 of us should be enough to end this circus. We don't need numbers. Send more men? These brats don't understand the hierarchy of power. Normal humans are nothing to us. Surrender now or perish. Park grew impatient. But Sui-yuk had already seen through his weak technique. You're too loud. Hanil. Day 1, take care of this trash. The counterattack began in an instant. Let's make an example of this cocky brat. A devastating battle erupted, but the tide was turning fast. Park's stamina failed him. Crack! 𝑭𝒌𝒊𝒏𝒈 landed a god-tier punch that sent the villain flying. Another awakener? You hid your power. Park hit the ground, his confidence shattered like glass. A level 4 awakener. Defeated in a single blow? So weak. What was he even thinking? 𝒍𝒍 stood over him. The truth is, we've grown far stronger than you. Now, stay down. The threat was neutralized. Survivors to the infirmary. Everyone else, back to the dorms, drag them away. Sergeant Lai appeared suddenly. 𝒍𝒍, what happened? I rushed here the moment I heard the report. It's nothing serious. Just 2 fools playing at being gods. It turns out we have 5 new awakeners. Besides Sang-a, these guys weren't just talk, but they picked the wrong unit to mess with. These fools thought they could seize our unit by force, but their rebellion ended in total failure. Just as Yi-run predicted, they walked right into our trap without suspecting a thing. The team was stunned when Sergeant Shin Yi-run returned, effortlessly dragging their strongest fighter behind him. While everyone praised his flawless victory, Yi-run simply stared at the broken captive he'd just dismantled. He was our most powerful warrior, the prisoners whispered, terrified by Yi-run's god-tier growth. Min warned him about being too brutal, though Yi-run claimed he was being remarkably gentle. His new talent demanded blood, a dark side effect from his endless nights of Dream Realm training. Fortunately, he mastered self-control, allowing him to neutralize enemies without taking their lives. From this moment on, he could dominate any human without shedding a single drop of blood. If their leader was this pathetic, the rest of them weren't even worth his time. We've simply become too monstrous, Wang Yin noted, comparing their elite levels to these weaklings. Most enemies were barely level 3, while Yi-run's unit had already reached level 6. But Yi-run was in a separate league entirely, his level already soaring past 10. Their secret weapon, the team token, boosted their stats and turned nobodies into elite warriors instantly. Yi-run encouraged his comrades, realizing they could finally handle themselves without his constant protection. Yet the unit knew their strength wasn't luck, it was all thanks to Yi-run's hidden guidance. He had become the backbone of the unit, the guardian who watched over them like family. Even Sang-a had awakened her powers, her eyes wide as Yi-run checked on her condition. She was safe thanks to the medics, though the chaos had clearly left her shaken. She thanked the men for their protection, knowing they'd be doomed without this hidden power. Yi-run apologized for the secrecy. Their survival depended on hiding their true strength from shadows. Over 50 soldiers had already awakened, a staggering number that signaled a new era of dominance. Yi-run decided to trust her, asking about her former life as a skilled tailor. By the next day, the base was silent as the prisoners realized escape was impossible. They finally understood that the power gap between them was an unscalable mountain. Yi-run headed to the interrogation room alone, confident in his own unique, god-tier methods. "Let's just have a chat," he told Chan-dung, his voice calm yet chillingly sharp. He promised no further pain if they cooperated, though his presence alone was suffocating. Chan-dung fell to his knees, begging for mercy from the monster standing before him. Yi-run realized he'd overdone the intimidation, so he produced a strange, magical ice cream treat. "Eat this, and the beating stops," he commanded with a mysterious, knowing smirk. The magical item worked instantly, forcing the prisoner to reveal every dirty secret they held. They were former criminals who preyed on survivors until rumors of awakeners began to spread. Under their leader's orders, they planned to swallow every unit to build a dark empire. They hid their awakened status to infiltrate Sang-a's group, acting like harmless sheep. But taking over a disciplined force required more than just brute strength and weapons. They used a manipulator to frame leaders, turning heroes into hated criminals in minutes. Yi-run realized these parasites were spreading their influence like a deadly, hidden cancer. Their target wasn't random. They wanted a massive prize to secure their absolute rule. They craved military firearms to dominate the new world with lead and blood. Now the prophecy made sense. Hiding their true power was the only way to survive. These infiltrators were dangerous, and letting them inside was a nearly fatal mistake for everyone. Sergeant Kim arrived shortly after, reporting that the survivors were finally settled and calm. There were no issues. Kim's silver tongue had turned their paralyzing fear into laughter. As expected of a veteran, his words carried more weight than any legendary weapon. "A sergeant's words carry weight, but my influence is absolute. Kim trembles before my newfound authority. Good work, I say. Kim begs for snacks, a small price for his total submission. His withdrawal symptoms worsen. I offer a cold apology for my seemingly unreasonable demands. Just a joke, I smirk. 3 meals are enough, but Kim's loyalty earns him more. I'll serve him extra lizard meat. Kim's gratitude is pathetic, yet his hunger is real. Wait in the dining hall. Should I make the others addicts too? They are burdens now. I won't kill my own kind yet. I must act to secure my dominance. System. Achievement unlocked. You have completely subdued a wicked group through the power of food. New title. Reformation Chef. Cooking effectiveness increases 30% against monsters and savage classes. New recruits join the unit. I ask how these fresh subordinates are adapting to my rule. They are older, but they'll learn. In this world, age means nothing without power. Everything is falling into place. They remain mere recruits until their spirits are fully reformed. Min-jae rushes in, panic in his eyes. Something is threatening our fragile sanctuary. The fuel is gone. The generators will die in 7 days. Darkness is approaching. This is grave. Food is vanishing, and the power is fading. Our resources are at 0. Too many mouths to feed. These survivors are a variable I didn't fully calculate. We can't stay here. It's time to move. We prepare to abandon this sinking ship. Now they understand why I skipped dinner. I reveal a hidden feast for the unit. Eat up, I command. But they hesitate, knowing our pantry should be completely empty. I reveal the truth with a smile. This is lizard meat. Min-jae's face turns pale. Are you insane? He screams. I calmly explain the harsh reality of our survival. We've fought lizards, but zombies and humanoids lurk in the shadows. We are too weak. To survive the coming apocalypse, we must transcend our humanity and prepare for war. Min-jae is confused. I explain that our standard rations are nothing but dust now. Barley cakes cost too many points. This monster meat is our only path to strength. It's infused with mana. This isn't just food. It's a direct level. Up for the soul. Monster meat is the only choice, I declare. Min-jae worries about the unit's backlash. These monsters ate their friends. The psychological trauma is a wall we must shatter. I knew this. While cooking, I infused the meal with my will adjustment skill. I've suppressed their trauma through the food. I'm keeping this unit from a total meltdown. Eating the things that ate your friends? The resistance will be fierce and primal. We don't have the luxury of morals. Survival is the only law in this new world. It's simple. Do we eat the monsters, or do we let them feast on us? Help me convince them. Min-jae and I present the grand feast to the starving crowd. The aroma is intoxicating. The soldiers, tired of dry rations, look on with wide eyes. This is a miracle, they shout. They don't realize they're feasting on their nightmares. Their stats begin to climb. The taste is divine, far surpassing any normal human meal. It worked, I whisper. Most are hooked, though a few still harbor a lingering fear. Min-jae reassures me. They'll get used to the taste of power. It's only natural. The party isn't over. Hidden stashes of alcohol are brought out to seal the bond. A rare moment of joy in this hell. We revel before the coming storm hits. We're leaving soon. We enjoy this peace while the fire still burns in the hearth. Sangha appears, drawn by the noise. The living quarters are empty. Everyone is here. This feast isn't mandatory, but for those who won't fight, survival is a heavy debt. We can't ignore the survivors. Balancing the needs of soldiers and civilians is my burden. Eating monsters sounds insane, right? Yanrun understands their hesitation. It's a gruesome reality. But survival demands sacrifice. The survivors realize they owe their lives to this unit. A lingering unease remains. Sang-A makes a bold request. Let them join the fray. Training them to fight? Soldiers are great, but self-reliance is the only true shield. Without the will to kill, they'll perish. She possesses the cold logic of a commander. Protection can't last forever. Yanrun stays silent as Sang-A continues her plea. The betrayal of the previous group haunts them. Weakness is a death sentence here. Luck only goes so far. Yanrun questions if the entire group is truly ready. They've weighed the risks. To live, they must grasp the power to fight back. Their eyes blaze with resolve. However, joining means total submission to military rank. Discipline is non-negotiable. Sang-A trusts Lieutenant Kim's leadership to guide them. Yanrun smirks. Kim follows his time's orders, but that's a secret for another time. A decision requires higher approval. Sang-A glows with hope, eager to contribute. Their commitment is absolute. Immediately, an emergency council is summoned to debate. Civilians on the front lines? 𝑺𝒌𝒊𝒏𝒈 fears the added burden will crush them. Resources are already thin. But 𝒐𝒊𝒒 argues they cannot abandon their own. Abandonment is a death warrant. 𝒍𝒊𝒏𝒈 confirms the survivors' unanimous desire to fight. The risks are staggering. One mistake could lead to a total squad wipe. Yet, unity is their only salvation. Protecting the weak is the soldier's ultimate duty. The die is cast. Sang-A proves her worth isn't just talk, it's craftsmanship. She reveals custom-made military uniforms, leaving 𝒍𝒊𝒏𝒈 absolutely stunned by the quality. Handcrafted from monster remains? Yes, she forged armor from the hides of their kills. Alpha skins for the elites, while standard lizard hides protect the rank and file. A master tailor's precision. She turned gruesome trophies into high-tier tactical gear. The defense is legendary. Thick monster scales refined into flexible, lightweight combat suits. Vital zones are reinforced, leaving movement unhindered. She offers one to 𝒍𝒊𝒏𝒈. He dons the steel leather. Meticulously stitched, it feels like an extension of himself. Forged from elite lizard scraps, this gear is famous for its iron-like durability. Residual alpha energy pulses within. It grants massive buffs to the wearer's stats. Impact resistance and elemental defense skyrocket. His strength and agility surge instantly. Incredible. Combined with his hidden growth, 𝒍𝒊𝒏𝒈 is now a walking fortress. It fits him perfectly. Sang-A watches, satisfied with her most important work. She is a production genius. But why the choice of tactical gray? Gray provides urban camouflage. It's practical, blending into the ruins of the city. Practicality over tradition, 𝒍𝒊𝒏𝒈 agrees. Sang-A reveals her tiered equipment system. Officer gear for the elites, soldier gear for the rest. Alpha hides are rare. For Kim? No, 𝒍𝒊𝒏𝒈 reveals the truth. He times is the actual unit commander. Sang-A freezes in shock. It's time she knew the secret behind their power. Sharing this secret binds her to him. Now, she is truly part of his inner circle. Keep this hidden, he warns. Soon, the new armor is distributed to everyone. The soldiers are breathless. How can monster skin feel this light and powerful? Injuries are minimized, speed is maximized. The morale of the unit hits an all-time high. Cheers erupt for Sang-A. They can't believe such elite gear was made so fast. She remains humble, crediting the team. 𝒍𝒊𝒏𝒈 feels invincible in his new skin. Reinforced inner plating for frontliners, and custom pouches for the awakened marksman. Since you're a swordsman, I modified your gear. 𝒍𝒊𝒏𝒈 nodded, grateful for the new scabbard. Uniforms for Lieutenant Kim and Tae-jun are ready. Please deliver them immediately. Sang-A, you should wear the commander's uniform too. She hesitated, unsure of her new role. You are now the official leader of the survivors. Leadership is more than just a title. Are we leaving soon? Sang-A gasped. Yi-jun explained the grim reality of their departure. New refugees will arrive soon. I need you to manage them. You're the only one I trust. This position is vital. Min-jae whispered encouragement. Don't worry. You'll be a natural leader. Humans are creatures of habit. Yi-jun knew she would adapt to this burden in no time. I felt the same weight when I became commander. But we evolved to survive the chaos. 𝒍𝒌𝒊𝒈, did you bring it? He pulled out a K5 pistol, its cold steel gleaming. This isn't just a sidearm. It's a symbol of high-ranking officers and elite warriors. We lost our commanders to the monsters. These 3 pistols are all that remain of them. I don't know how to shoot. Don't worry. 𝒍𝒌𝒊𝒈 will give you a crash course. Who gets the other 2? One goes to Lieutenant Kim to maintain his military dignity. I'll take the last one. My blade has limits, and I need a tactical backup. As a production type awakened like you, my combat skills need this lethal edge. Wang-in looked envious. Guns just slow us down, Min-jae joked, eyeing his massive frame. You're too big for such a tiny toy. Laughter erupted, breaking the heavy tension. Even Sang-A smiled. A few days later, the impossible finally became a reality. Congratulations, you have awakened. The conditions for a massive 100 member guild are met. A guild is more than a group. It's a structured society with absolute rules and order. Yi-jun smiled, feeling a rare sense of peace. Their foundation was finally set in stone. The order to move out sparked immediate panic. Many feared the dangers of the wild. How can we survive out there? The wilderness was a death trap filled with monsters. Soldiers trembled at the thought of the harsh journey ahead. Doubt spread like a virus. Whispers filled the air. Can the weak truly fight? Is this a suicide mission? Staying means certain madness and death. Reality was closing in on every survivor. There was no better path. Leaving was their only gamble for a future. The brave rallied the weak. To live, they had to step into the mouth of hell. Consensus is impossible, Min-jae complained. Yi-jun looked at the crowd with iron resolve. Then we give them a feast of courage. No more options remained but to lead. The survivors stood in formation. Every soul waited for their commander's life-changing words. Thanks to Yi-jun, they were united. Now, the real ideological training and planning began. Today, fates are sealed. Yi-jun accepted his role as the supreme leader of this flock. He now had the authority to appoint vice leaders and delegate the heavy burden of command. Vice leaders would manage the guild via the system's global messaging. Unity through technology. Name the guild. From the ruins of 𝑑𝒐𝒌𝒊𝒏𝒈, a new legend was about to rise. 100 awakened members. This wasn't just a group, it was a small army. Dragon Teeth rewards would wait. Right now, structure and leadership were the priorities. Yi-jun's voice boomed across the field, commanding the attention of every single soldier. We are the nation's first awakened guild. We have grown stronger than any monster. Hold your heads high. We move forward into the unknown with absolute confidence. Their spirits soared. The fear was replaced by a burning desire to dominate. Before we march, we must organize. A guild this size needs a core of iron. I am appointing vice leaders. These pillars will help me lead us to total victory. Appointing vice commanders unlocks massive skill buffs and essential communication channels for the unit. Efficiency is everything. Moving a group of 100 soldiers requires perfect tactical coordination. Small units need leaders to survive. With lives on the line, every soldier listens intently. This is no game. One wrong appointment could lead the entire army into a death trap. Though I hold absolute authority, I want your voices to shape our destiny today. The soldiers begin to murmur. The weight of leadership hangs heavy over the entire crowd. The selection begins. Sang-A is an absolute necessity for the unit's core strength. Minji and Wang are chosen. But Taejun's leg injury sparks a wave of sharp criticism. Protests erupt instantly. The men refuse to follow a leader who can barely even stand. Yi-jun calms the angry crowd. Taejun will not be leaving the safety of our base. Confusion spreads through the ranks. Are we abandoning our strongest members while we march? This mountain range is our ultimate fortress. Leaving it entirely would be a strategic disaster. If we walk away, we lose the occupation buffs. Remember the system message we received? Maintaining control yields occupation points. The longer we hold this land, the stronger we grow. Everything is going according to plan. We are playing for total territorial dominance here. These points are the key. This world has transformed into a massive, high-stakes territory war. Control is the most vital factor. This decision will determine our power in the future. Taejun takes the microphone. It is time to reveal the true power of his hidden class. As a literary astronomer, his skills reach god-tier levels under the light of the stars. From this high peak, he can provide perfect intel that no ground unit could ever see. He will act as our divine radar, guiding our soldiers through every hidden mountain pass. 7 elite guards will stay behind. The ultimate reconnaissance team is now officially active. The protests vanish instantly. With the command structure set, the new era begins now. Now for the name. Everyone suggests bold titles like the Knights of the Round Table. After a heated debate, one name echoes louder than the rest in the mountain air. The Steel Legion is born. While some find it grand, Mina only cares about conquest. She ignores the chatter. Her eyes are already scanning the map for our next destination. To the west lie major cities and powerful rival military units waiting for a fight. To the east lies the coast, where the 12th unit has already established its camp. Should we expand our borders or seek allies? Yi-jun weighs the heavy burden of choice. It is a grueling decision. They leave the final tactical word to Taejun's brilliant mind. Dawn breaks over the peaks. The fortress gates swing open for the grand departure. The leaders take the front. A new strategy begins the moment they reach the base. The map is covered in red marks. Monsters are swarming the area in massive numbers. We must defend before we strike. The shadows on this mountain are crawling with enemies. Minji groans in frustration. It feels like these monsters are crawling straight out of hell. New horrors are emerging. These aren't just the lizards we are used to fighting anymore. We have data on the lizards, but these new abominations are a deadly, unknown mystery. Without finding a weakness, we will need overwhelming firepower just to survive the night. The atmosphere grows cold. Every soldier realizes the true danger of this upcoming mission. Minji turns to Sang-A. She asks if the path here was filled with obstacles. Monsters are lurking everywhere in the shadows, but their numbers are currently quite thin. They aren't lizards, but Sang-A handled them with ease using her superior combat skills. If she can clear them alone, moving the entire army should be a simple task. But Yijun looks grim. This is the unmistakable influence of a powerful alpha monster nearby. Confusion spread through the group. Why target the alpha? Yijun revealed his tactical logic. Since the alpha fell, survivors emerged from the mountain's shadows like ghosts returning home. Lizard monster numbers plummeted, proving his theory right. But the current situation turned grim. Conditions worsened. With heavy supplies and troops, a stealthy escape was now completely impossible. That was the crux of Yijun's realization. Leaving required ironclad resolve and spirit. It was their only path. The squad needed a flawless plan to survive the night. Darkness fell as they moved. The unit began a deep infiltration through the dense forest. They executed a tight formation. A defensive perimeter was established to protect the innocent survivors. Escorts guarded the rear while survivors moved ahead. Mina still doubted the plan's ultimate success. Yijun's calculations were precise. Despite the complex formation, their battle experience would carry them. He watched with pride. His strategy was working. It was time for the ultimate raid. The formation mirrored an RPG. Tanks, DPS, and healers creating an unstoppable mobile fortress. Melee soldiers formed a steel wall. Inside, awakened snipers stood ready to provide cover fire. Their mission was clear: protect the convoy. But Min spotted a flaw: the unknown ambush points. Narrow paths meant no retreat. Yijun's response? Total suppression of any incoming monster attacks. Don't worry, he stated firmly. Speed is our shield. We must outrun the danger now. The road was a nightmare. Unpaved trails and jagged cliffs threatened to derail their escape. Moving normally was suicide. They had to be fast, or face total annihilation in shadows. Final preparations ended. The formation was set, and the engines roared into the dark forest. They followed the dirt path. For a while, the defense held perfectly against the wilderness. Yijun's tactical brilliance ensured the survivors' safety. Everything seemed to be going as planned. Suddenly, the atmosphere changed. An eerie, suffocating silence descended upon the entire forest trail. Hearts pounded in chests. They prayed this wasn't monster territory, but the silence felt predatory. Namgung spoke too soon. A suspicious shadow flickered within the dark tree line, watching them. "Captain, look!" Two soldiers cried out in terror. Panic began to ripple through the ranks. Monsters emerged from the gloom. One, then many, as a massive horde swarmed the convoy. The beasts pounced with feral hunger. Chaos erupted as the soldiers struggled to maintain focus. "Stay calm," Yijun roared. "Aim for their vitals. Fight just like we did back home. No guns. Silence is life." The four captains unleashed their god-tier powers to protect everyone. Battle spirits blazed. The team engaged the monsters, determined to keep the convoy moving forward. Wang Yin bellowed commands. He refused to let the formation break under the monsters' pressure. The soldiers tightened their grip. They stood their ground against the incoming tide of fangs. Wang Yin scanned for weaknesses. He channeled every ounce of his hidden, dream-trained martial strength. "Die, you bastards!" A devastating punch shattered a monster. "Only your leader can face me." His stamina began to fade, yet he swung relentlessly. He fought like a man possessed. It wasn't enough. More monsters surged forward, their red eyes glowing with a murderous, bloodthirsty light. The beasts used corpses as ladders. Wang Yin watched in horror as they scaled the vehicles. The monsters reached the top. Awakened warriors scrambled to repel the invaders from the roof. "Don't rely on the shields," Min screamed. "Kick them off before they breach the interior." The awakened fought desperately, but the monster numbers were growing at an overwhelming, terrifying rate. Screams echoed from within. Inside the transport, the survivors huddled together in absolute, paralyzing fear. "Don't be afraid," Sang-A whispered. "Our soldiers are legends. They won't let us die. She hid her own trembling. Outside, the sounds of battle grew more violent and much closer. Min unleashed a hidden chain technique. She bound a massive beast, pouring all her mana in. The giant collapsed. Min gasped for breath until a new shadow loomed from the left. Eerie black flames suddenly erupted in the distance. "Look over there," I shouted. Another massive swarm was charging toward us. They were closing in from behind, even flanking our unit. Min-jae stood frozen in pure terror. Where did these monsters come from? I stayed calm and explained the grim reality. The noise of battle drew them in. It was only a matter of time. Min-jae grit his teeth in desperation. Gunfire will only attract more of them. I knew we had to move immediately. The swarm was still a distance away. Prepare for an immediate extraction. I arrived here with absolute resolve. A scout rushed over with a report. The rear guard had cleared the path. 2 survivors were still alive in the area. "Eat your rations now," I ordered. "Gear up for the next wave." A massive horde was drawing closer. "Sir! Yes, sir!" the soldiers roared. They quickly grabbed the dried meat rations. I was also feeling the pangs of hunger. I turned to Min-jae and urged him to eat. "We need your strength for the transition." He didn't hesitate for a single second. System: low-grade chef's dried meat consumed. It was infused with the chef's hidden courage. A magical power surged from the food. The magical effects intensified our combat stats. Everyone felt a sudden rush of strength. Is everyone ready to move out? I realized cooking here was no longer possible. Once we left, the luxury of fire was gone. Field cooking was far too dangerous. Smoke and heat would give away our position. It was inconvenient and risked our lives. We needed a more stealthy approach. Until we reached a stable mountain base, our options were severely limited. We had to rely on these special rations. But our current supplies were dangerously low. They wouldn't last for the survivors. We had 1 week at most. Thankfully, I had my secret level 10 skill. Combat ration creation was a total game changer. This was the key to our survival. These rations were compact but incredibly powerful. They lasted far longer than normal food. Perfect for a long-term siege. High in calories and extremely lightweight. They were easy to carry and delicious. The ultimate tool for our journey. This meat was seasoned with pure grit. Since we were constantly on the move, dried meat was the perfect choice. And we had plenty of monster flesh. "Report the casualties," I bellowed. The soldiers responded with fierce resolve. I turned to Min-jae with a serious look. "I have a job to do." He looked at me with confusion. "Wait, where are you going now?" I ignored him and focused on the plan. The meat buffs were helpful, but not enough. I reached Lieutenant Kim in a flash. "It's time," I said, eyes gleaming. "Use your special commander skill now." Kim looked nervous but slowly nodded. "I've been practicing this for our survival." He took a deep, steady breath. He dropped into a deep combat stance. His energy began to ripple through the air. "Everyone, prepare for the final stand." A brilliant golden light erupted across the field. The aura covered our entire formation. The soldiers felt a sudden rush. Skill. Commander's resonance activated. Ally combat power increased by 10%. Every soldier became a true warrior. They gained the special battle-ready trait. Combat efficiency soared to new heights. Confusion and fear were wiped away. The morale reached a fever pitch. The soldiers were now unstoppable killing machines. Their stats surged beyond all belief. I watched them with a grim smile. Lieutenant Kim's buff was the perfect catalyst. It stacked beautifully with my food effects. The synergy was absolutely terrifying. The courage meat and the commander's aura. We had created a god-tier army. The monsters began their final assault. They swarmed us from every single direction. Hold the line. Don't let up. Beat them back and we escape. The soldiers unleashed their full destructive power. They fought like men possessed. They protected the transport vehicles with lives. The monsters grew more desperate and feral. The battlefield was a bloodbath. Suddenly, I launched high into the air. I crashed down on them like a meteor. My blade pierced the monster's skull. It was a brutal close-quarters duel. The beast roared, lashing out with claws. I didn't give it an inch. My daggers moved in a deadly blur. I felt the surge of power within. This crisis was now an opportunity. "That woman is a monster," someone whispered. I turned to see Sia fighting. She was tearing through the swarm. She must have been bored in the car. "Finish them off," I commanded. Let's end this nightmare right now. Dawn began to break the darkness. The soldiers started clearing the field. We gathered the monster carcasses for food. These will be our next meals. A wounded soldier was carried away. Get the medic over here, now. I gathered the squad leaders together. Wang In, keep securing the outer perimeter. Sui-yuk, lead a scout team ahead. Something else is hiding in the shadows. Yes, sir. Sui-yuk replied instantly. I hurried back toward Minja. Meanwhile, Yi Run regrouped. While Wang In fought the lizards, Sui-yuk led scouts. Investigate the area. Something is lurking here. Yi Run then dashed toward Minji. Check the survivors and secure the path. We must move before the sun sets. Minjae ordered with a frown. Understood. Move it. Minjae barked, saluting the unit. The soldiers shouted back in unison. Yes, sir. After the orders were set, Yi Run exhaled in relief. Suddenly, a soldier rushed over, gasping. Wait! Sarge, we have 10 wounded. But they're stable and treatable. The soldier smiled, his eyes gleaming with hope. Sir, you're cooking. It's working miracles. I honestly thought we were finished after leaving the main unit. I never imagined this monster jerky would have such a massive buff effect. It's truly unbelievable, Sarge. Yi Run nodded, though his expression remained serious. It's a start, but my awakened skill is still low rank. Jerky is just the most basic form of combat rations. I need to evolve this recipe immediately. The soldier's eyes widened in shock. You mean it gets even stronger? Heavens, that's actually a bit terrifying. Exactly. With over 100 soldiers eating, the potential buff scale will skyrocket. We need every advantage. Make room in the transports for those who can't walk. We're moving out. Right away, sir, they replied. As the chaos settled, Yi Run moved to inspect the vehicles. What's the status here, Sergeant Shin? This one's a total loss, sir, Shin replied grimly. Yi Run bit his lip. Damn it. We need every engine. What about the military transport? It's holding up for now. But we're in for a rough ride. Even our armored plating isn't invincible out here. If a high-rank monster targets us, it's all over. Yi Run's gaze darkened. You mean even our military-grade steel can be shredded like paper? Yes, sir. These aren't tanks. But if we can scavenge enough tools, we might be able to reinforce them. Yi Run sighed, looking at the wreckage. Then we have no choice. Scavenge everything usable from the totaled cars. Understood, sir. We'll strip this wreck for parts and ditch the rest. Yi Run nodded, moving to the next group. Work fast. We need to beat the darkness, he thought. At this rate, they might actually survive the night. Night fell like a heavy shroud. Soldiers rotated guard shifts while sharing the precious, buff-inducing rations. In the command tent, Yi Run and Minjae huddled over maps, their faces pale under the flickering lamplight. At dawn, the convoy pushed forward. Suddenly, a scout's frantic voice cut through 𝑺𝒌𝒊𝒈. Sarge, look at this. Yi Run hurried to the edge of the cliff. What did you find, Wang In? He froze at the sight. The heavy steel guardrail was twisted and shredded like tinfoil. How? How could this happen? Is this lizard fluid? Yi Run whispered. Wang In nodded. This wasn't an accident. Something attacked this spot. It looked like a scene from a nightmare. This was no ordinary crash. Something dragged a vehicle over. Yi Run spotted a strange drag mark. These signs. A car definitely went over the edge, right here. Give me the binoculars. Quickly! Yi Run shouted, his heart hammering against his ribs as he scanned below. Deep in the ravine, he saw the wreckage. It was the communication car driven by Jemon and Sung Ho. It's them! The car that went to Contact HQ. It's at the bottom. The soldiers gasped in horror. Damn it! Yi Run cursed. Lieutenant Kim should have never allowed them to go alone. This was a fatal mistake. Even if they volunteered, the commander should have stopped them. Now, blood was on everyone's hands. They aren't even awakened. They were completely defenseless against a monster attack. Yi Run's voice trembled with guilt. If they had just stayed with the unit. Wang In interrupted. Sarge, I don't see any bodies. Yi Run blinked in confusion. What? Are you sure? Wang In nodded, pointing his own lens at the wreck. If they died in the crash, they'd be there. Could they have survived and moved to a safer location? Falling from that height? Even an awakened would be crippled. Unless the monsters took them as prey. Yi Run felt a cold shiver. I hope they were eaten, because the alternative is much worse. I have a terrible feeling about this. We're out of time, Min-jae shouted. No bodies? This is impossible. We can't solve this mystery now, Yi-run replied. I need to start the next batch of monster jerky, Min-jae agreed, his hand on his sword hilt. You're right. We have enough lizard meat. Keep the buffs coming. Yi-run climbed into the mobile kitchen. I never thought I'd be cooking while running for my life. He opened the rear hatch. The air was thick with the scent of raw lizard meat. We need more power. Suddenly, the mountain erupted. A swarm of lizards rained down upon the convoy. The ambush had begun. Hold the line! If we break formation, we're dead meat. There are too many. Wang Yin's squad clashed with lizard monsters while Sergeant Shin stayed inside the vehicle. Horrific screams echoed outside as Shin cooked. The monsters were closing in fast. This was the fourth battle, yet Shin hadn't stepped out. He was stuck preparing rations. Hold on. After the clash, Min-jae reported 5 wounded and 1 in critical condition. Broken bodies littered the ground. Shin watched the carnage with growing, silent dread. Injuries were mounting rapidly. Min-jae noted that while Shin's food boosted their stats, and leadership helped, the constant onslaught was draining everyone's stamina to the limit. Gunfire was attracting more beasts. Bitter whispers began circulating among the exhausted soldiers. Shin was stunned. They thought a mere cook shouldn't be skipping the front lines. He understood their resentment. His combat skills were mediocre compared to the elite warriors. He decided to stick to his strengths. Support was his only path to survival. Min-jae defended him. These fools don't realize your value. Ignore their baseless chatter. But Shin knew it wasn't that simple. Suddenly, a scout's cry pierced the air. Sergeant Lee, look! Something is wrong. The atmosphere on the road turned ice cold. Min-jae and Shin rushed forward to investigate. What they saw defied all logic. The group froze in horror. Standing before them were shambling, undead soldiers. They wore military uniforms. Wang Yin used his binoculars and gasped in total shock. Those are our missing men. Corporals Kim Jin and KVK have returned as monsters. Shin's heart sank. His worst nightmare had manifested. Lai immediately took command. He barked orders as the undead raised their weapons. They were going to fire. Warriors to the front. Protect the survivors. But the zombies weren't just biting. They were aiming rifles. Panic erupted as the squad scrambled for cover. Shield bearers formed a wall against the lead hail. Get down! Lee roared. The undead opened fire without hesitation. Bullets shredded the silence of the wasteland. Soldiers screamed as they were hit. Min Cheon collapsed, howling in sudden agony. Shin sprinted toward his fallen comrade. Hang on. We need a medic, now. Min Cheon gripped Shin's hand tightly. It hurts, but the uniform held up. Shin's eyes blurred with relief. The steel-reinforced gear had saved a life today. Other soldiers took over first aid. Shin marveled at the armor Sang-ah crafted. Even against a hail of bullets, the protective layers proved their legendary worth. 2 more zombies, Duin and Song-ho, emerged from the shadows with weapons raised. Suddenly, the shooting stopped. They're out of ammo! Someone yelled in relief. Min-jae prayed they weren't smart enough to reload. Lai seized the opening. Assault team, move in. End them now. The warriors charged with one heart. Wang Yin leaped, his blade flashing. Too easy, he shouted, slicing through air. Soon, the undead lay broken on the dirt. Wang Yin's face darkened with rage. Fighting former brothers in arms was a special kind of hell. Is it finally over? Lai nodded grimly. The fact they looked so human was deeply unsettling. Suddenly, a flock of birds erupted into the sky. The entire mountain was screaming. Lai sensed a massive disturbance. Sin, you don't think. The realization hit them. The gunfire had rung the dinner bell. Every monster nearby was heading their way. There was no time to hesitate. Shin climbed atop the vehicle, voice booming. Cease movement. Gunners, recalibrate. Mages, release all fire restrictions immediately. The hidden power within him surged. Unleash everything. All awakened. Prepare for war. All units, board the trucks. Warriors, provide cover. Eliminate every beast that dares to cling to our vehicles. If we clear this mountain range, we survive. Drive like hell. Get us out of here now, Sergeant. How much longer? I barked at the driver. He shouted back. 30 minutes if the monsters stay away. Good. I'm placing a gunman in the passenger seat. You just focus on the road, I roared. Move it. All soldiers, get in. Snipers, take the roof. Sergeant Lee's command echoed through the chaos. After securing the perimeter, I whispered a prayer. We will survive this nightmare and escape these peaks alive. From the heights, the horde descended. A tide of monsters surged toward our unit with lethal, predatory intent. We held the line against the carnage. Don't let them block the path, I screamed. Bracing for impact, Wang Yin surged forward, his aura exploding. With a guttural roar, he unleashed a flurry of devastating blows. The truck is slowing down, Wang Yin yelled in a panic. Clear those monsters off the road immediately. Sir! The soldiers roared. On the roof, the snipers unleashed leaden death upon the swarming mantis beasts. Damn it, more ammo, a private screamed. But from the mountain shadows, a far deadlier threat emerged. What is that? The soldiers gasped. A pack of six-legged wolves approached. Sergeant, look at this. These beasts made the lizards look like toys. I felt a cold shiver as our morale began to flicker. 6 legs? Wang Yin gasped. They were so fast our warriors could barely track their predatory movements. If the truck takes damage, we're finished. Curse them, I hissed, watching their hungry, savage eyes close in. These weren't just monsters. They were apex predators. Moving a unit through this terrain was becoming impossible. Looking at the monster carcasses, a desperate idea sparked. Wait, I shouted. Keep holding them back. It's no use, a private yelled. They're too strong. We can't hold this position much longer. Suddenly, a hunk of meat flew through the air. The wolf pack pivoted, tearing into the flesh greedily. The soldiers froze in shock. What the? They're going berserk for lizard meat? Are they insane? They're reacting, I noted calmly. We have plenty of lizard meat. Keep throwing it. Feed the beasts. Just as I suspected. They're fierce, but primal hunger overrides their aggression. They calm down for a meal. Unlike tactical lizards, these are pure wild animals. Once they scent prey, they won't stop until they feast. I activated my God's Eye, the skill I mastered in that dream realm. Time to find their weakness. My analysis kicked in. Low-level cooking secrets revealed the truth. One precise strike was all it would take. A smirk touched my lips. I found it their fatal flaw. Our survival was hidden in plain sight. The lizard meat worked. The men cheered. Excellent. Now, aim for their weak points. Finish them off. We had survived the crisis. With the right bait, I could easily master even the most terrifying monsters. This is it, I thought. By adding a special sauce, the distraction would be absolute and overwhelming. System. Consuming this causes a coma. My special blend was ready to incapacitate the entire savage horde. High-quality cooking leads to God-tier results. I pushed my God's Eye skill to its absolute limit. System. God's Eye activated. After luring the pack, I screamed, "Target their legs! Strike now! Die, you bastards!" The soldiers unleashed a coordinated strike on the points I had identified. Once the weakness was exposed, the tide of battle turned. I had turned a disaster into a victory. "I see the end of the road," someone shouted. "We made it. We're actually going to live." Relief washed over the unit. "Yanjun, you did it." Sergeant Lee laughed, but I could barely breathe. My head throbbed with agony. My dream training was paying off, but this mana exhaustion was soul-crushing. Darkness claimed me as I collapsed. "Yunjun!" Minji's scream was the last thing I heard. I woke up drenched in sweat, gasping. Sergeant Lee was there, his face etched with deep concern. "You're awake? Are you okay?" he asked. I forced myself up. "I feel like I've died once." Minji chuckled softly. "You look fine to me." I looked around, confused. Where are we?" "We found an abandoned farm and set up camp," Lee explained. "A farm in this god-forsaken wasteland?" Minji handed me a bowl. "Here, eat." I cooked this using our combat rations. I stared at it. It was just a boiled mess of rations. So, what happened after I lost consciousness? Don't sweat it. The beasts trailing us from the mountains? I've already wiped them all out. Just focus on recovering. Did you harvest the monster remains? Sergeant Lai flashed a wide grin. Of course. Hides and meat are vital resources. Kangjin's team is already out harvesting everything. Sang-A will process the loot, Yi Run noted. Suddenly, a soldier rushed in, shouting, "Scouts returned." "Really?" "You rest up, Yi Run. I'll handle weight." Yi Run's eyes gleamed with unnatural calm power. "No, I'm ready to move." Meanwhile, The scouts whispered. Tae-run wants a westward march. The terrain there offers a tactical advantage. It's spacious ground and familiar territory for In-jun. But that's a suicide mission. You know why. From what I've witnessed, it's a literal death trap. It's pure hell. The carnage lured even more beasts. The fallen have risen as mindless zombies. That zone is crawling with undead and monsters. Min-ji frowned. It's a nightmare, Yi-run agreed. It's a massive nest. Entering is a death sentence. Another soldier spoke up, backing the claim. He's right. Ruins and abandoned cars will blind us. Navigating those streets is a tactical disaster. Must we abandon it? Sergeant Shin pondered. Perhaps once we bolster our forces in the city. But with the wounded, it's too risky. Our 2 medics are already at their breaking point. What's our move then? Just as Jin hesitated, Yan-run's voice cut through. That place. Our old military barracks. That's where we should head. It's our only chance. Min's eyes lit up. The barracks. Since officers were stationed there, the supplies must be top tier. Unlike the chaotic cities, it's secluded. Plus, it's close enough for a safe, swift journey. Shin realized, we need a fortified base of operations. Those barracks are the perfect stronghold. Gather the commanders, Shin barked. We need a solid plan before the sun dips below the horizon. We won't move everyone yet. We'll split into 3 squads of 10 elite members each. Each team needs a leader with communication skills. Min-ji, Kang-jin, and I will lead. Since we lack firearm training, Suok will stay back. We must conserve every single bullet. Understood, the men roared. Then, Sergeant Shin announced, Sang-a is joining our strike force. I'm still a novice commander, Sang-a admitted. This mission is the perfect trial by fire. Yi-run watched her. She survived the city's fall. Her survival instincts are a godsend. The team included 2 former convicts. Can we really trust these criminals? Hong-wai whispered. They've repented, Yi-run replied calmly. Everyone deserves a chance to prove their worth now. Give us enough rations and we'll follow you to hell, the men joked loudly. I just hope the farm stays safe while we're gone. Shin sighed. Morning arrived quickly. 30 of us moving together is too loud. Split up and regroup at the barracks gates. Ready, they cheered. Shin turned to Sang-a, his gaze steady. It's time. Let's move. Come back safe, the villagers cheered. They marveled at Sang-a's courage as we ascended. Breathless from the climb, Shin asked, why do survivors cling to those ruined, dangerous cities? We had no choice. Sang-a sighed. Hunger is a far more terrifying monster than the undead. I see your point, Shin nodded. I'm just grateful for the steady meals here, she added. Before this, every meal was a bloody struggle. Shin realized she'd endured a true living hell. Any other city dangers? Shin asked. You think the buildings are obstacles? Sang-a smirked. We use those ruins as shields. In an open field, you're just prey. In the city, we're ghosts. Shin was stunned. What we saw as a death trap, these survivors saw as a sanctuary. Think anyone else is still breathing in there? Definitely. Many are still lurking in the shadows. Makes sense, Shin muttered. The world was far from empty. It was just hiding. Sergeant Shin realized that what we saw as a fatal weakness, the survivors saw as a hidden power. Is anyone still alive in that graveyard city? The vanguard whispered. Maybe. I've seen movement there. Survivors were definitely lurking in the shadows. Shin wondered if destiny was playing a cruel joke. I wasn't just surviving alone. To build a hidden empire, I needed resources and a loyal army. Integrating Sang-a's elite group was vital. Survival meant expanding our ranks through those who remained. But shadows hide villains too. Suddenly, Sang-a froze, her scream shattering the heavy silence. Wait, Sergeant! Panic surged. What is it? Sang-a's voice trembled. The sound of ragged breathing. Zombies are nearby. Sergeant Shin nodded grimly. Luck was on our side for now. The undead hadn't noticed us yet. Without Sang-a's sharp instincts, we'd be dead. She asked if I truly knew nothing about them. Usually weak, these zombies sometimes retain human cunning, making them unpredictable and deadly predators in the dark. See that movement in the sewer? Sang-a pointed. Sergeant Shin's eyes widened in realization and fear. What's it doing in there? He whispered. Sang-a replied, waiting. It's lurking for the perfect strike. A lethal trap. I wondered if there was any way to detect these hidden monsters before they struck. 𝒉 explained that awakened ones could focus their hearing to catch the zombies' distinctive, labored breathing. Sergeant Shin was skeptical. Focused hearing? I realized this was the only strategic path forward for us. Shin rallied the troops. Listen up. We must focus all our senses to hear their corrupted breath. We had to move as one, hearts beating in sync. Drop the heavy gear. We use blades tonight. Large groups are too loud. Only the captains and a few elites would venture into the darkness. The rest stayed to guard the camp. Move out, Shin roared as we charged into the abyss. We hit our positions instantly. The air was thick with the terrifying, guttural moans of the undead. They're everywhere, Min-jae shouted. The sheer numbers made it impossible to pinpoint their exact location. Only a few roamed the halls. The rest? They were hidden, waiting to tear us apart from shadows. I've never seen a horde this massive, 𝒉 whispered. Even our former superiors were among them. The danger was suffocating. I suggested a tactical retreat to Min-jae to reassess this nightmare. She agreed. We needed to sweep the perimeter first. I told Wang Yin to take the lead. Suddenly, a zombie lunged from above. A knife whistled through the air, and Wang Yin barely dodged. Ambush! Shin screamed. From the depths of the facility, a massive swarm began to pour out. We ran for our lives. Don't stop, Shin urged. Then he froze, staring at a familiar face. Is that? Kang Jin's voice broke. That's Sergeant Park from our own room. It's really him. I'd known him too. This mission was becoming a psychological battlefield we weren't prepared to face. Seeing former friends as monsters was breaking the soldiers' spirits. Their resolve was starting to crumble fast. I realized these men needed more than just orders. They needed a moment of peace and humanity. Since Jin and Seung-ho turned, the soldiers' hatred for zombies had fermented into something truly toxic. Maybe we should scout elsewhere? Shin suggested. But I knew we couldn't just leave this place behind. We had to check the barracks. Kang Jin looked at me like I'd finally lost my mind. It's about mental strength, I said. If survivors are trapped in there, saving them changes everything. 𝒉 agreed. Rescuing allies would ignite a spark of courage that no horde could ever extinguish. Min-jae realized my plan. Instead of despair, we were creating a legendary reason to keep fighting. We go to the barracks, I declared. Shin and the others let out a collective, determined shout. How do we do it? Min-jae asked. First, I replied. We clear the internal threats one by one. We mapped out the dungeon-like buildings. One wrong move or a single bite meant absolute, certain death. Should we unleash our full firepower? Min-jae asked, desperate to tip the scales in our favor. Kang Jin was stunned. You want to level the entire camp? I smiled, masking my true power. It's an option, I said coolly. Min-jae couldn't believe I was being serious about such destruction. That's only Plan B, I grinned. Plan A? We eat first, then we dominate this hellhole. As I cooked, I thought of my secret training. Strength isn't enough. We need the ultimate tactical edge. My special dish, roasted pig ear, would grant them god-tier hearing to track every hidden heartbeat. With this hidden growth from my dreams, the zombies didn't stand a chance. Fate was finally ours. Preparation pays off. The secret? Roast pork seasoned with a low-tier chef's burning soul. Magic amplified the flavor, boosting the buffs. The feast was served to the starving squad. Famished from battle, they devoured everything. The aroma alone was a legendary sensory overload. Paired with rice, it was perfection. Boom. Every stat suddenly increased by 5 points. Magical energy surged through their veins. Suddenly, a system notification echoed, "Check your status windows." Chaos erupted as senses evolved. Their hearing became superhuman, picking up every distant whisper. Yi-jun watched, smirking. The recipe worked. Now, it was time to invade the city. They scoured every skyscraper and alleyway. With their new hearing, no shadow remained hidden. Their ears became god-tier radar. Even a pin drop miles away sounded like thunder. The hunters had arrived. Suddenly, guttural, demonic growls shattered the silence. The horde moved. The zombies were acting, but with hyper-hearing, their hiding spots were instantly exposed. Wang Yin and Sang-ae led the charge. They weren't prey anymore, they were the predators. Undead heads rolled effortlessly. The squad split up, turning the city into a slaughterhouse. We can track them by sound alone. The soldiers couldn't believe food held such power. "Is this real?" they gasped. "But every god-tier gift comes with a painful price." "My head. It hurts," 𝒉𝒊𝒊𝒈 groaned. Their brains couldn't handle the sensory overload. "Locate and strike fast," 𝒉𝒍𝒍 ordered. "As long as we find them, they're fodder. At this pace, the city will fall quickly." Victory felt within their grasp at last. Suddenly, a shadow lunged at 𝒉𝒊𝒊𝒈's back. But 𝒉𝒍𝒍's blade was lightning fast, a hair's breadth from certain death. 𝒉𝒊𝒊𝒈 froze, her heart hammering against her ribs. "Stay sharp," 𝒉𝒍𝒍 warned. "Some of these monsters move in total, deadly silence. No time to waste." 𝒉𝒍𝒍 mobilized the team toward the officers' building immediately. The fodder were weak but endless. "We must clear them fast to save our stamina." They reached the upper floor and met Minji. Her team was already swimming in blood. Wang Yin reported total annihilation. He actually felt pity for the brainless, weak monsters. "They're too pathetic," he laughed. But 𝒉𝒍𝒍's eyes narrowed on a lone shadow. One remained, a zombie that hadn't moved. The atmosphere suddenly turned cold as ice. It was him, Major 𝒂 their former commander. 𝒉𝒍𝒍's heart sank. "Why him?" he whispered. Seeing a legendary leader turned into a beast was agonizing. Memories flooded back. The Major was a hero, a man of honor and discipline. He was the pillar of the Legion. Unlike the indecisive others, he was king. A leader everyone respected. Now, he was just another monster to be put down. "Step back," 𝒉𝒍𝒍 ordered. "As commander, I will send him home myself, personally." It was a brutal choice. Killing a brother in arms is a weight no soul should bear. To save the living, the dead must rest. 𝒉𝒍𝒍 gripped his weapon tightly. The zombified major roared. This wasn't a normal walker, it was a Tier 1 elite threat. He retained the strength of a master soldier. Steel clashed against flesh in tragedy. 𝒉𝒍𝒍's blade was absolute. "We will never forget you," he vowed, striking home. Tears were a luxury. In this hellscape, hesitation means death for the entire squad. The building was silent. But the victory tasted like ash and bitter, soul-crushing sorrow. A pyre was built. The bodies of fallen brothers were committed to the flames. Major 𝒂, Captain Choi, the legends of the Iron Legion were finally gone today. They were the best soldiers. Heroes who survived 1,000 battles, only to fall. Silence fell over the squad. But the heaviest burden lay on 𝒉𝒍𝒍's shoulders. He ended his friend's life. Under the crimson fire, a part of him died too. His eyes reflected a heavy, silent sorrow as he prayed for the fallen souls. As their commander, he refused to break. He had to ignite their fighting spirits. The burial ended. He stood firm, commanding them to cast aside their lingering grief. "Focus only on the living," he roared. Their new survival mission had officially begun. They began transforming the officers' quarters into a high-security, strategic mountain stronghold. Minya led the first squad, scouring away the foul stench of the rotting undead. "Work harder!" she yelled. "This sanctuary belongs to the living from now on." Under her fierce command, the soldiers scrambled to their newly assigned defensive positions. The Legion divided. 𝒉𝒊𝒈's scouting team headed toward the stream for clean water. Corporal Wang's unit gathered firewood, racing to finish before the sun vanished completely. Yon Run and Su-hook reinforced the perimeter, prioritizing clear sightlines for their elite marksmen. Every survivor had a duty, working tirelessly until the evening shadows finally fell. They gathered for the announcement. Yen Run desperately wanted to throw a celebratory feast, but resources were too scarce. Visible disappointment rippled through the weary, hungry crowd. Yen Run felt their pain but could only promise a grand celebration for later. "Now," he stated, "we must decide our next destination on this map." Mina stepped forward, pointing to the blueprints of their grand expansion strategy. Survival was a struggle. They lacked food, fuel, and vital ammunition for battle. A soldier suddenly raised his hand, confused about their supposed lack of food. "Don't we have plenty of meat?" he asked. Minj stepped in to explain. "Meat alone isn't enough," she warned. "We need more than just raw protein." Yeonrun pondered their nutrition. Mana kept them strong, but for how long? Without a balanced diet, their awakened bodies would eventually collapse from total exhaustion. "A month of meat is fine," he thought, "but eventually, we will rot." "Diversity is key to survival," Minj added, highlighting their critical lack of fuel. Without gas and ammo, Their vehicles and weapons were nothing but useless scrap. "We need a solution now," Yeon-run declared. "Does anyone have a plan?" Corporal Lee Gong-gu spoke up, suggesting they prioritize gathering rare crafting materials. The others were skeptical, but Gong-gu insisted these materials were the ultimate key. Yeon-run remembered his own struggles coming down the mountain without any proper gear. Their current vehicles were useless. High-grade materials could change their entire destiny. As a combat engineer, Gong-gu was the expert. Yeon-run let him speak. His logic was undeniable. Finding fresh food and fuel was getting nearly impossible. If we can craft armored transports, we can scavenge the surface safely. He proposed building combat vehicles capable of crushing any monster in their path. He even suggested medieval siege engines, catapults to rain destruction from a distance. Min was impressed. "With such power, we wouldn't have to sneak around." "Can an engineer really build all that?" Yeon-run asked, testing his resolve. "With enough time and metal, I can build anything," Gong-gu replied confidently. He planned to armor their fleet. This guy has massive potential, Yeon-run realized. Just like in the game, production classes were the true hidden gems. "I'll allow it," Yeon-run warned, "but don't treat this survival like a game." Gong-gu stood tall, his confidence radiating. He knew he held their future. Yeon-run entrusted the mission to him. Engineering would be their new divine lifeline. The long, grueling day finally ended. Tomorrow, the true evolution would begin. With the squad dismissed, Yi-jun remained. While the others rested, he stoked the furnace to cook a hearty feast. A kitchen without power or water was a nightmare, but he refused to let his hungry comrades go without. Transforming this ruin into a temporary cafeteria, he began his culinary performance. It was time to show his skill. He stirred the pot, melting down monster fat harvested from past battles. The stench was a foul, gut-wrenching odor. Despite the smell, it was essential. This grease was a mana-rich concentrate, a hidden cheat ingredient for any chef. Once refined, it harmonized perfectly with any dish. This secret element made every bite taste like a legendary meal. With the oil prepared, the night passed. Dawn broke, and the squad gathered to finalize their next high-stakes operation. Mapping their route, they targeted a warehouse marked with an X. It was a massive steel reserve near the base. Minji questioned his intel, but Gong-gu explained the base desperately needed materials from his previous frequent visits. Could they really secure it all? The facility was vast, potentially housing every resource needed to fortify their home. Since the weekend monster surge had passed, the chances of encountering a massive undead horde there were quite low. Yi-jun noted its isolation from the city. Some zombies might linger, but it was an optimal zone for elimination. Minji laughed, praising his foresight. The plan was solid, and the team prepared for the dangerous scavenger run. Action commenced immediately. Yi-jun ordered Wang In to mobilize 3 squads, mirroring their previous successful infiltration tactics. Each unit required a combat engineer. Yi-jun's leadership was absolute, and the commander's orders were swiftly enacted. Wang In moved with precision. Meanwhile, Gong-gu was tasked with preparing a heavy-duty transport vehicle at the main gates. Minji worried about the engine's noise attracting predators, but they had no choice. Moving steel required serious horsepower. Yi-jun issued a final warning, move with extreme caution. But luck was not on their side this day. Disaster struck upon arrival. A sudden ambush by a monster pack left 3 soldiers wounded and 1 critically injured. "Get them to safety! Medics, move now!" Yi-jun roared, maintaining composure as blood stained the cold concrete. Wang In pushed the truck to its limit, trying to suppress the noise, but the damage was already unavoidable. The road was a death trap. But then, they noticed something chilling. The monsters weren't acting like normal predators. Usually, they would tear into prey. Instead, the undead ignored the easy targets, moving with a disturbing purpose. Yi-jun scanned the perimeter, his instincts screaming. They finally reached the workshop, a structure larger than imagined. It was a titan of industry, surely containing the materials they needed. Gong-gu signaled. The interior looked empty. Yi-jun ordered the breach. While the perimeter squad held the gates, the engineers rushed into the cavernous hall. Follow the engineer's lead. The soldiers entered with high spirits, unaware of the horror lurking in the dark. They pushed the massive doors open, but the atmosphere inside froze their blood. Something was fundamentally wrong here. The interior was a chaotic wreck. Yi-jun stared at the devastation, wondering if an earthquake had struck. "Ignore the mess. Focus on the objectives," he commanded. "Load the steel and move out before it's late." Time was their enemy. They worked away from the entrance, clearing space to move the heavy metal plates. Gonggu located a stockpile of high-grade steel. He urged the men to prioritize these heavy sheets above all. "Watch your step." The soldiers strained, using every ounce of strength to haul the massive metal slabs forward. Suddenly, a sound echoed through the rafters. A bone-chilling, mechanical grinding that made Gonggu's heart stop instantly. He froze, asking if anyone else heard that unnatural noise. Minji's patience snapped, turning toward Yi Jun. Something was terribly wrong. The ease of their mission was a lie. A trap was closing around them. Battle positions. Every soldier drew their weapon. Suddenly, the steel plates on the floor began to vibrate. Metal shards took flight, swirling in the air before fusing together into a colossal, terrifying silhouette of steel. A black vortex of energy erupted in the warehouse, vacuuming up every scrap of iron into its center. Panic surged as the inanimate steel twisted and groaned, forming a nightmare shape that defied every known law. "What kind of sorcery is this?" they screamed. How could cold, dead metal move like a living beast? Even Yi Jun was shaken. This wasn't a standard monster. Before them stood a titan made of rusted steel. It was an iron bear, radiating a crushing aura. This beast was far more lethal than any previous foe. Its sheer presence was a death sentence. Terror paralyzed the squad as they faced a metallic god of destruction. Even the veteran Wang Yin trembled. He had never witnessed a creature so violent and so impossibly powerful. Minjae froze. Yirun rallied. "Fight together. Slay it." Commander's decree. Charge. Aura exploded. Glass shattered. Fleeing. Terrifying size. Devastation. God help. Stomp. Soldiers crushed. Iron plates. Rip. Steel skin. Blades failed. Skills failed. Overwhelming power. Retreat. Death near. Bait. Final gamble. Meat thrown. Hope. Rejected. Cooking shredded. Pride wounded. Why? Retreat. Watch back. Save wounded. Drive. Regret wasting food. Escaped. Territorial beast. Materials irrelevant. Survive. Unstoppable. Weakness? Tricky creature. Known. Secret. Fragile core. Peel. Slice meat. Strip iron plates. How? Pride burned. Rejection hurts. Pride. Steel eater. Living? All must feed. Eats metal. Realization. Bite marks. Hungry. Teeth marks. Confirmed. Confirmed. Fry iron. Sizzling oil. Cook. Fried iron. Delicious. Try anything. Move. Prepare. Feed it. Furious chef. Rage. Smoke rose. Mastery. Taste wrath. Submit. System. Transcending limits. Forbidden art. God tier. God chef. New horizon. Beyond edible. Legend. Pioneer awakens. Exploring this new path promised limitless rewards. Yi-Run realized his ingredients were now truly infinite. Gonggu activated his material identification skill. He carefully analyzed the mysterious iron plate before him. Minja wondered if it had become stronger. Unfortunately, the material's actual durability had plummeted. It was now so brittle it was nearly useless. Everyone gasped in shock at the unexpected results. Wasn't it supposed to get harder? But if the monster craves it, its strength is irrelevant. Gonggu called it an absolute miracle. Transforming metal just by frying it was revolutionary work. This was the power of Sergeant Shin's skill. Minja was stunned by his incredible technique. Yi-Run played it off with a humble smile. Meanwhile, the engineers were lost in their excitement. The squad was ready for the next move. Sergeant Shin gave the order to begin the operation. The soldiers didn't know his cooking manipulated emotions. He kept his true god-tier power hidden. He considered the altered iron a minor effect. This time, the monster wouldn't stand a chance. They returned to the warehouse. Massive iron plates were still hovering menacingly at the entrance. More iron scrap blocked their path. The monster was using the debris to manifest its form. It camouflaged itself perfectly within the chaos. Suddenly, a scout spotted the beast lurking nearby. The core of darkness was finally exposed. It hid behind a shield of iron for protection. They moved in for the final strike. Yi-Run prepared his special gift. Brittle, fried iron. He tossed the delicacy toward the beast's lair. The team held their breath, waiting for impact. The monster lunged for the bait instantly. It fell into the trap easier than they imagined. Outside, the others waited in tense silence. They wondered if the fried iron plan actually worked. The beast began to shrink before their eyes. It was devouring the iron, losing its massive power. It looked surprisingly small and almost cute. Was this really the terrifying monster they had feared? The fried iron had completely neutralized its rage. Min-jo was confused by its calm behavior. The food had inflicted a massive failure debuff. A legendary creature was now trembling in despair. Victory was within their grasp. They prepared a final blow when a voice suddenly stopped them. Sergeant Shin needed to see something incredible. He used his appraisal skill on the metal scraps. The iron was now protected by ancient magic. Despite its quality, the system flagged it as food. Yi-Run was stunned by the system's identification. His infinite ingredients talent was truly breaking reality. This was no longer an ordinary piece of metal. Gonggu realized the potential was beyond imagination. The monster's magic had forged something entirely new. No wonder their initial attacks had no effect. Even separated from the core, the metal remained invincible. This was a legendary material for crafting. The engineers' eyes gleamed with pure greed. They suggested keeping the monster alive as a resource. The squad was horrified by the insane suggestion. Capturing a living monster was a suicidal risk. Yi-Run warned them of the looming danger. The failure effect wouldn't keep it suppressed forever. It would eventually strike back with twice the fury. Most agreed it was better to kill it, but Gonggu refused to let the chance go. He saw a path to creating legendary gear. Missing this opportunity would be a tragedy. Yi-Run hesitated, weighing the risks and rewards. If contained safely, it could change their future. Gonggu's determination was starting to convince them. Min-jae understood the value of the material. He turned to Yi-Run for the final decision. A chef never abandons a legendary ingredient. Yi-Run's answer was a resounding, "Let's do it." They locked the beast in a reinforced cage. It wailed as its iron kingdom was stripped away. Its new prison was iron-free and inescapable. The engineers worked tirelessly to secure the area. They loaded the magical metal onto the trucks. Its incredible durability was unlike anything they'd seen. The engineers were vibrating with pure excitement. Yi-Run watched them, satisfied with the results. Gonggu thanked him for the ultimate trust. Securing these materials was a massive game-changer. Their mission was officially a success. They had secured a resource that would shake the world. "You know your role, right?" Gonggu signaled his squad. "We're creating something legendary." Li-Run saw the fire in him. "Give it your all." Gonggu saluted as the system pinged. System: low-grade ingredients detected. Aluminum, fiberglass, and ceramics appeared. Li-Run smirked. "In my kitchen, everything is a god-tier ingredient." Watching the engineers, he realized his vision was truly transcendent. No limits. His god-tier identification far surpassed any mortal engineer. Linking Chef's eye with weakness detection, he plotted his growth. No monster could survive his blade. World domination was inevitable. Days later, Gonggu proudly unveiled their new armored beast. "It's finally finished." Thoughts? The entire crew stood utterly speechless. A monstrous war machine bristling with lethal iron spikes stood ready. "Impressive," Li-Run whispered. A soldier gasped at the sight. "Is this Mad Max?" Gonggu defended his brutal, spiky design. "It looks strange, but its combat efficiency is absolutely legendary. Survival came first. Beauty was a luxury they couldn't afford. This beast shreds monsters. Those spikes are built for absolute carnage." Li-Run recalled the bear. "That monster was just a warm-up. Biotic creatures won't stand a chance against this mobile fortress." "Exactly. It's an unstoppable tank with high-tech soundproofing built in." "Excellent work. Finish it." Min-jae asked about Mac's progress. Gonggu grinned. "Mac's stable. I've been monitoring his feeding. He hasn't evolved yet, even after consuming those iron plates. But the magic-infused steel he rejected? It's our ultimate shield. Feed him iron to gain protection? That instinct is incredible." In a quiet room, a voice searched for a nearby store. Sang-A checked the map. "Found one. Right on the border. Should we test our new war machine on this run?" They were low on everything: fuel, meds, and non-monster meat. "We can't stay idle. We must move now," Min-jae urged. Sang-ah hesitated. Will there be anything useful left there? It's obscure, but local survivors likely picked the place clean. Others might have passed through. Min-jae remained strictly resolute. It's close. Not a bad idea. It's worth the risk. Lee Run gave the command. Gear up. We depart immediately. The team agreed. After preparing, they set out for battle. This ride is incredible. The vehicle handled the wasteland perfectly. Smooth sailing. It shreds every monster into bloody ribbons. But cleaning the gore? That's going to be a total nightmare. Gong-gu sighed. He hadn't considered the messy aftermath of war. Lee Run scanned the perimeter. Ready your combat rations, soldiers. Eat ration number 3. He grabbed his gear as they prepped. Every meal was a buff. Every bite fueled his hidden growth. Trait acquired. Hyper, sensitive hearing. His senses exploded with newfound power. He signaled the advance. The hidden master was ready to strike. Moving with lethal precision, Yi Run signaled the vanguard. Gong-gu nodded, tracking the silent perimeter. The squad breached the interior. Yi Run's gaze shifted to Minji, who led the flank rightward. Every soldier moved in perfect synchronization. They swept through the abandoned stalls, searching for any resources. The group reconvened, faces grim. One soldier sighed, noting the lack of useful supplies in this sector. Only broken toys remained. Min's voice surged with frustration. Everything of value had been scavenged clean. Yi Run remained calm. He knew other survivors were desperate too. They had to dig deeper. Suddenly, the radio crackled. A soldier discovered a zombie corpse. Yi Run's instincts immediately went on alert. The report was chilling. The creature's skull had been crushed by a single, heavy axe blow. A survivor was nearby, someone skilled. A sudden noise echoed, shattering the oppressive silence of the store. Kang-in froze, his eyes widening in pure terror. The air grew heavy with an unspoken threat. Yi Run's voice cut through the panic. He ordered everyone to stand still. Confusion gripped the ranks. Tension radiated from Yi Run. An unnatural mist began swirling from the stalls, obscuring their vision. Something was lurking in the darkness. Yi Run concentrated, tracing the source of the subtle vibration. His eyes locked onto the butcher's corner. The sound was rhythmic, calculated a predator hiding its presence. They approached the mysterious door. Yi Run wondered if an ambush-type monster was waiting to strike. With a sharp nod to Wang In, the plan was set. They would force the confrontation. Wang In unleashed his monstrous strength. With a thunderous roar, he slammed against the reinforced steel. The door buckled and collapsed. Yi Run immediately activated his mana, illuminating the pitch-black room. Using his divine chef's sight, he scanned for weaknesses. Even unknown gods could be slaughtered if identified. A dark silhouette flickered in his vision. It moved like a ghost before vanishing into the shadows. Yi Run hesitated. The target felt different, like raw ingredients prepared for a final, macabre feast. A system notification flashed. Species human. Yi Run's heart sank. This wasn't a monster at all. He stepped forward cautiously toward the whimpering sound. A small, trembling foot emerged from the mist. 2 children were huddled together, paralyzed by fear. The girl clutched her brother, sobbing for mercy. She begged them not to eat her brother. Memories of the tragedy began to resurface. Days ago, their group was scavenging for scraps. A young man complained about the tasteless rations. Cheon looked at him, questioning if they were really reduced to eating pet supplies to survive. The argument was meaningless. Survival didn't care about dignity. Suddenly, the atmosphere shifted into pure dread. Seong rushed toward them, frantic. They had stayed too long. The darkness was closing in fast. Greed held them back. The boy wanted to take everything, mourning the supplies they'd leave behind. Another survivor agreed. They needed every scrap if they wanted to live through the coming night. Cheon snapped at them. They had enough. Staying any longer was a death sentence for them all. The bickering continued until Cheon's patience broke. He could sense a predatory gaze upon them. He grabbed Suan's arm, demanding they flee. The younger brother looked on with tear-filled, haunting eyes. Then, a violent shockwave erupted. An invisible force tossed the survivors into the air like ragdolls. Screams filled the store. Bodies slammed into shelves as the hidden predator began its bloody harvest. Lethal debris rained down. Cheon scrambled towards Suan, his voice desperate amidst the rising carnage. He screamed for her to run. Something ancient and terrifying had awakened within the grocery aisles. There was no time for explanations. He pushed them toward the exit, his face pale with resolve. Suwon's eyes blurred with tears as blood sprayed across the floor. The monster had finally struck. They watched in horror as Cheon was intercepted. Suwon grabbed her brother, running into the nightmare. The screams of the dying faded behind them. The monster loomed over its prey, mechanical and cold. Back in the present, Suwon's tears wouldn't stop. She recounted the moment Cheon was lost forever. Gonggu wept openly, moved by the children's suffering. The weight of their loss was unbearable. Yi-run looked at them with profound pity. They had survived a hell that few could imagine. Yi-run stared at the pet food, his heart sinking. Suwon's eyes narrowed as she questioned his true nature. "Are you truly a kind soldier?" she whispered. "Or just another monster wearing a human face?" "I'm human, just like you," Yi-run replied gently. "We're survivors from the base, not your enemies." Doubt flickered in Suwon's eyes as she scanned him. Yi-run felt a pang of deep sympathy. Her guard was a fortress built from trauma. Suddenly, Sang-ah arrived, breaking the heavy tension. "Captain Sang-ah, they're terrified," Yi-run noted. "Please, help these children find some peace of mind." Sang-ah knelt down with a mother's grace, offering a warm smile and an open hand. "It's all right, little ones," she cooed. "We're here to protect you, not to cause any harm." The children's walls crumbled as they approached her. Suddenly, Suwon's stomach let out a loud growl. An awkward silence fell. The kids turned beet red. Yi-run and Song-gu avoided their shy gazes. Sang-ah chuckled softly. "You must be famished. Let's get some real food in you two immediately." Yi-run gave a determined nod. "I'll whip something up. Let's make this a meal to remember." The children watched in awe as the soldiers scrambled to set up a makeshift campfire. "He's a master chef," Sang-ah teased. Suwon stared, shocked that a soldier could also cook. While they waited for the feast, Sang-ah carefully checked the little ones for any hidden wounds. Farther away, the soldiers' whispers grew sharp. "What are we supposed to do with them?" "They're a liability," another countered. "In this dying world, extra mouths are a death sentence. Children lack stamina and fall ill easily," the soldier argued. "They'll only slow our unit down. And our healer is already at his limit," another chimed in. The harsh reality was suffocating. The grim report reached Yi-run. The squad was split between cold logic and desperate humanity. "We can't save everyone," the soldier warned. "Is now really the time to increase our burden?" Yi-run's expression darkened with worry. It was a choice that would haunt his very soul. "We can protect them for now," he thought. "But what happens when the next tragedy strikes? The weight of survival is a heavy crown. Will Yi-run choose strength or mercy? Find out next. If you enjoyed this epic recap, smash that like and share button for more legendary content.